This is the 34th Global Star Party. Now, if you count other events that we've done, it's probably more like in the range of the 40th. And James, the astrophotographer, is the first one on. We've got clear skies tonight. I think a lot of the country does.
Yep, I'm observing right now.
You got clear skies, Jerry?
Yep, and I'm focusing on an object. I'll talk about it when that time comes.
I'm sharing with the Chicago Astronomy Club right now. Let's see, which is the next one here? Photo astronomisch. Astronomisch. There we go. And we've got astrophotography enthusiasts. Let's share with them. Book Davies says he's out with binos right now. Binos are cool. Now, David, what do you know about the history of binoculars?
Oh, not all that much, actually. With respect to astronomy or overall?
Just kind of overall. I mean, it's kind of I think they were, when I started looking into the history of it, I think they were developed right after the telescope. You know, they look like a tapered box kind of affair, you know, very elaborately decorated.
Yeah, they can't see you though.
And they weren't used much, I don't think, except for sort of an opera glass type of arrangement for a long time.
Maybe. Well, a lot of them didn't have the adjustment either for the pupils, so they just kind of went for broke on, you know, picking one size fits all.
You're right, right. Interocular distance be damned.
Yes.
There's a slogan you probably don't want to use commercially.
Yeah. Could be like the headline on an ad, you know, like on a display ad in Astronomy magazine.
You gotta make a bumper sticker out of that.
Yeah.
We're getting rid of the interpupillary adjustment. It's all been, you know.
Here's one for you, Scott. See, marketing, you know, is a special. How about one size might fit all?
Might.
No, you don't like that? Okay. All right.
Probably. You say probably fits all.
One size can't fit some.
Yep. It's like one shoe size. Might probably will work to a degree.
Yeah.
Telescope Addicts Astronomy and Astrophotography Community. Here we go.
Uh-oh, did we lose Scott?
Yeah, I think we did. I saw it froze, and then I'm looking at the screen, and it looks like he's gone.
We lost our host and David.
We lost our, yeah.
This is not a great start.
I suppose, is it best to keep the YouTube feed or whatever muted? I suppose so. Yeah, I get confused. Too many audio sources here.
I'm gonna give him a call and see if he answers. Just calling you. Oh, you dropped your power. So Scott lost power.
Uh-oh.
Oh, the power's restarting on him, so he'll be 5 minutes.
I hope
We can
that
just chat him-
this is not an omen of things to come tonight with Scott and with David here.
Well, maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I shouldn't be on. Maybe that's what jinxed it.
No.
Goes out and comes in right when we're doing the broadcast.
Okay. And I think
Yep,
that
he's
I am.
back.
I think I'm back. Here we
You
go.
are back.
Yeah, that is amazing. That's amazing because I lost power.
Wow.
Okay. I lost power.
I hope not a rolling blackout.
I don't know what it was. It was crazy. I was like, I'm talking and oh my gosh. Here we go. Okay. So, okay. I see that it's back now. And what time is it? 7:03. I think we're going to go ahead and just get started. Let's go ahead and get started with Mr. Eicher. And there's David Levy. Hold on for a second. Hi, David. How are you? I started, but I can have your voice on my microphone if you'd like to. I'll send you a Zoom link. You won't be on first, but when you come on, you'll come on. Okay. Okay, I sure will. Sounds real good. Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye. All right. So David Levy will join us later here. I'm going to go ahead and start our program.
The Vehicle System Testbed is an engineering model version of the Perseverance rover, which means that it has all the same electronics as Perseverance. It's important for Perseverance to have a twin so that we have a place where we can test things before we actually operate Perseverance.
Then once we do land on Mars, we need the twin to test out all of the sequences and plans that we have for the rover before we actually send them up to Perseverance on the surface of Mars.
Also, if we have a problem with Perseverance, the VSTB is going to give us a place to practice how we recover from that problem.
It's a really big milestone for us today. This is the first time we've ever driven the testbed. So by driving, we're validating that mechanically we can drive the rover on its own weight on Earth.
The VSTB is now ready to drive the Mars rover. Today, we're moving the VSTB from its assembly facility to the Mars yard. proud of what the VSTV team has accomplished today. I'm really excited to see this VSTV out in Mars Yard, where we can truly test mobility for the first time. Today is a great day for the test bed. It's the first time that we've driven Optimism out into the Mars Yard.
We get to actually drive in the dirt and get this thing dirty and do some mobility testing.
Well, hello, everybody. We had a little excitement here this afternoon. Somehow I lost power, but if anybody could give a testimonial to the Zoom guys, okay, it kept the program alive and running. So here we are. Oh, and David Levy's with us. That's great. Okay.
I'm here. I'm
yeah,
right here.
Okay. That's great. So we caught David. He's out with his friend out, and they are going to do some observing tonight. I think they got looks like they have some beautiful clear skies. So that's great. Tonight's show, we have some special programming. We have, of course, David Eicher from Chief Editor-in-Chief of Astronomy Magazine. He's got a special program. He's going to kind of veer off of his sequence that he was on and tell us a little bit more about himself. So if you guys have questions, this is the time. You know, if you want to look under the hood of what David Eicher's all about, this is the night. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Hi, David.
Hi, David. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yep.
I'm fine. I'm here. I'm glad to be here.
Yes.
Looks like a good sky above you, David.
Yes, it's very, very nice. Beautiful sky.
Beautiful blue sky.
Yeah.
Libby and the stars with us. We've got Deep T. Deep T could not be on our program last time because of an internet connection, as sometimes happens. So, but she's back with us tonight, and she's going to talk about the moons of Mars, which is going to be cool. Cesar Brolo is with us from Buenos Aires, and his son. How do you pronounce your son's last or first name? Augustine.
Agustin is okay in Spain. We say Agustin.
Augustine. Okay, well that's great.
I think that in English it's Austin.
Okay, wonderful. Every man from the Astronomical League is with us. John Johnson from the Nebraska Star Party is with us. Jerry Hubble from the Mark Slade Remote Observatory. The Astro Beard. The Astro Beard Observatory is with us. Of course, he doesn't have an observatory yet, but he's building one. Okay, so and it's gonna tower over this mountain, and we've already talked to him to expanding that observatory so that we can set in our own piers and be there with him. Just joking. Anyhow, David, now that you've logged in with us, I guess we will have you go on first. Okay.
Okay, Scotty. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for making it. That's awesome.
I'm glad we were able to work this out. Anyway, I'd like to show you where we are. We are at the Chiricahua Astronomy Complex in Southeast Arizona. And if you see over here, do you see the sun setting?
It's beautiful.
The sun is setting, and we move across, and we get to Minerva. Do you see Minerva now?
Oh yes.
Minerva is the telescope that you see every time when I'm just there at home. But now you're going to see a Minerva actually getting ready to work tonight. And now I'd like to introduce you to one of my closest friends. I don't know if he'll be my friend after this, but this is David Rossiter.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, David. Nice to see you.
Scott.
Thanks for joining us.
And this is Julia.
Oh,
You see Julia.
Julia's
wonderful.
a 4-inch refractor.
And what are you going to put on Julia tonight?
I think I'm going to be going for a lot of star clusters tonight. Maybe especially some globs. And of course, we got to get the Orion Nebula in there.
But are you going to put the camera on?
Oh, on Julia. I thought put Julia on things in the sky.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've got a new Malin cam we're going to be putting on Julia tonight.
A Malin cam.
Experimenting. It's a little video astronomy.
Okay. Well, this will be fun, David. Anyway, I want to wish you all the very best for a star party tonight. I will be in and out, I think.
Yes.
But I do want to wish you the very best. And I do have a quote for tonight. My memory has not failed yet. I have to do it from memory. I have nothing to look up. But remember when I used to be quoting things that lasted for hours and hours? Well, I won't be doing that tonight. I'm going to have to do something from memory. I'm going to quote from Ralph Hudson, and I've quoted before from him. But you just imagine, it's almost imagining if he wrote these words in I think it was 1917 from England, and it's called The Song of Honor. And I'd like to quote the entire poem to you, but it would take about 6 days to do it. So I'm just going to quote the last verse.
Okay.
And here we are. This is the, you can see we're sort of on a low hill over there. And over to the east, you see those mountains over there?
Yes.
Those mountains are the Chiricahua National Monument. It's one of Arizona's most beautiful areas, and we're right next to them. Anyway, so I'm going to give you a little quote and then give you back to Scotty and Dave Hiker, who will give you the really good stuff for tonight after I give you this amateurish singing song stuff. Anyway, it's Ralph Hudson, The Song of Honor. I stood and stared. The sky was lit. The sky was stars all over it. I stood. I knew not why. Without a wish, without a will, I stood upon that silent hill and stared into the sky until my eyes were blind with stars. And still I stared into the sky. Well, Scotty, back to you.
Thank you very much.
And I'll stick around for a few more minutes, I think.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you're out there at that site. It looked fabulous. It's making us all wish we were there with you.
Yeah, but there's some more news.
Oh.
And that is tomorrow, Wendy and I are getting our first vaccines.
Woo! That's
Yay!
great. That's great. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, that's great. So it's one of 2 shots. Is that it's going to be a 2-shot deal? Is that right?
It's one of 2 shots. The next one is at a little later in March.
All right. Well, stay warm, David. I know it can get a little chilly out there at night, so be careful.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The wind has dropped.
Yeah.
It's really very pleasant right now.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks for
And
joining us.
I'll see you again Friday.
You'll see me Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Scotty.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, David.
I'm going to stick for a while.
Stick around. Okay. That's great. That's great. Okay. So, it's awesome to see, I just love to see guys getting out there with their telescopes and their real skies, and man, do they have real beautiful skies in Arizona. So you're going to have to make it out there sometime. If you've never been, the Chiricahua region is beautiful. Many great places in Arizona. I think Arizona is as an astronomer's, dream to relocate there. A lot of people, amateur astronomers, they want to retire and they retire out there, so for good reason.
Yeah.
So, but tonight we will transition to David Eicher. David has a long history. I think his whole life has been wrapped up in astronomy. We all know him from Astronomy Magazine, but he has had many astronomical adventures and a vision towards looking towards the universe, I think probably since he was born, and so tonight, we're going to ask him to talk about himself a little bit for those of you that don't know David Eicher. Are you good with that tonight, David?
Absolutely. Thank you, Scotty. And I actually came across a paper in trying to organize all of my stuff, finally, working from home this year, called Growing Up with Amateur Astronomy. So I thought I'd do a little read of a paper that's an autobiographical work that I tweaked and updated maybe just a tad here, but it's from some years ago that I wrote this. So I thought I would read this, and it would either be maybe inspiring for some or frightening or a combination thereof. So this is called Growing Up with Amateur Astronomy. When I was a young teenager, I leaned in interest toward medicine, a physician's career, I thought. Then at 14, I went to a local star party and saw Saturn through a small scope. That moment changed my life. All other interests ceased. I was obsessed with the sky and what lay in it. I was a teenager in a small town in Ohio, stuck between Cincinnati and Dayton, in a little community called Oxford, where Miami University, an old state school, was the main event. Besides the university, the town had rich outlying farmland and not much else. That decision to immerse myself in amateur astronomy, falling in love with the sky, led to an adventure I could not have foreseen. The astronomy club that put on the star party needed someone to write about star clusters, nebulae, and galaxies in their monthly newsletter. The hyper-enthusiastic green kid drew the assignment. Armed at first merely with binoculars, later an 8-inch telescope, I observed so many deep sky objects and began to draw sketches of the eyepiece views that I often stayed up all night observing and went right to school, high school, the next morning. Can't do that anymore, I'll tell you that much. Soon, my love for the heavens led me to create a whole magazine, at first a newsletter, really, all about deep sky observing. The first issue of Deep Sky Monthly, as I creatively titled it, rolled off the mimeograph machine in my father John's chemistry office in June 1977. And I'll show you, it was a very, an over-assertive term to call it a magazine. It was pretty crude stuff.
Oh, yeah.
There's a fairly early issue of it.
What year is that, David?
That's 1979. That was
79.
a couple of years after the start there. And it kind of evolved a bit. And that led, thankfully, to me making many, many great friendships with contributors, writers, photographers, including people like David H. Levy, who's with us here tonight.
Yes.
Going all the way back to that time. So I was 15 and a fraction years old at that time. Local club members of, believe it or not, what was called the Astronomical Association of Oxford, Ohio, as it was known, along with Cincinnati and Dayton amateurs, they really took pity on this young man and subscribed. And after a few months, after a few issues, there were more than 100 paid subscriptions. Well, publishing this magazine as I went through high school and college offered pretty severe challenges, but it became a family affair. Once a month, I traveled with my father to use a press loaned to us at the Dayton Museum of Natural History. Later, we had the magazine printed commercially in nearby Hamilton. The publication's theme of observing, imaging, and endlessly discussing deep sky objects coincided perfectly with the so-called Dobsonian revolution, which made larger telescopes available to backyard sky watchers and helped spawn an information revolution that led to observers going after many obscure targets they had never heard of even a short time before then. David can attest to this, and Scott and others too. It was a very exciting time for amateur astronomy. Right away, out of the gate, Comet Vest stunned us all, as did other observational events. The era of Apollo was relatively fresh, the space shuttle age yet to come. Dozens of amateurs around the country and the world wrote me, submitted articles, sent photos they had shot, and that's what destroyed my astro imaging career, because after a few months I could walk down to the end of my driveway and pull astro images out that were sent to me that were far beyond anything that I could do. So I became a mere observer, but it was really a vibrant time for the hobby. I'd become acquaintances with the editors at the two big astronomy magazines and made no secret that I would love to work for one of them one day. In the middle of 1982, Richard Berry, who was then editor of astronomy, called me and offered a job, as well as offering to buy Deep Sky Monthly and continue it as a quarterly, something that I really wanted to see happen. By the time I started as assistant editor of astronomy and editor-in-chief of Deep Sky magazine in September 1982, the latter had a circulation of more than 1,000. And I'll quickly show you more or less what it looked like under the guise of astronomy magazine, Deep Sky, back in the day.
Beautiful.
The publication achieved a circulation of 15,000. And by the early 1990s, the company decided to stop its publication. It needed me to concentrate on astronomy and my career with the larger magazine. I could no longer hide in a closet one day a week and bang out this journal about observing galaxies. So it went away after 15 years altogether, I guess it was, although it was, I think it's fair to say, beloved by amateur astronomers. I moved to Milwaukee and have been with the magazine ever since, going from the junior-most assistant editor to the editor-in-chief for the longest span of the magazine's history. Times have really changed. Now, observers, of course, are used to viewing and imaging sharpless nebulae, Abell galaxy clusters, quasars, strange dwarf galaxies. After Hale-Bopp and Yakataki in the mid-1990s and the incredible observational event of Comet Shoemaker Levy 9 impacting Jupiter, which was also a very big draw, of course, we were overdue for a very nice comet, but we got a pretty good one, of course, last year in Neowise. I don't get to observe nearly as much as I did in the early days now, both from staying busy and living in a place where opportunities for observing are rare. Yet through all the experiences of the last 38 years, I can easily go back to the farm field in back of our subdivision in Ohio, where I first set up my scope, my first telescope, Celestron 8, and accompanied by my border collie, Oscar, stayed out all night exploring galaxy after galaxy. It was all an unexplored mystery to me then, and I hope that Astronomy Magazine now and events like Scott's Star Parties here, which are very valuable to keep us connected, now that they can help with that magical sense of discovery that we all love, that serves us, that motivates us all to go out there and look deep into the heavens of exploring a very big universe that has endless amazing sights for us to ponder, so that we can get together, talk about them, and enjoy them all together, our understanding of them. So that's kind of a brief autobiography, either a tale of inspiration or warning to who can be
no, it's very inspiring.
Once you get this infection, you know, it doesn't go away.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You will pay for it. That's true.
That's right. But that's kind of how it happened to me. It's been a great adventure. There are many stories, which someday I'll tell many more of if I get the chance to. But that's sort of a broad overview of a kid who wanted some kind of a scientific career and went to a star party one day, and the whole world changed.
Yeah, that's really. So, David, what were kind of like your breakthrough moments, though? I mean, you know, trying to get onto an astronomy magazine, although you were already doing one, you know, did you, you know, was there like a moment where you weren't sure if you had the right stuff, or well, you know, or did you always know that you had it? We know you have it, but
Well,
you know.
I always knew that I loved the subject, and just seeing Saturn, floating as a little globe, with the rings, with that beautiful ochre and orange color, that you could walk out of a house in a subdivision in a neighborhood outside a college town and point a telescope like that and immediately see that and be transported to another world was astonishing. And for a while, I thought I wanted to be a professional astronomer, and do research. And I got to know many astronomers, some through I got to know Bart Bach through David and Clyde Tombaugh, and I got to know Carl Sagan very well, who gave me career advice. And I had a physics education, undergrad, but I found that I just loved writing about this stuff, and I got to know the folks at Astronomy and Sky and Tell, and that's really what I wanted to do. And then I wanted to see that little magazine go on,
Right.
because when it's your baby, you don't want to throw it off a cliff. So I kind of decided I would enjoy more the journalism, the writing about it, than going and taking data. And I was very lucky to have many professional astronomy friends who I could go and hang out with and kind of have that experience and understand it alongside them without actually being employed as an astronomer myself. So it was quite an adventure.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so you had a little different professional astronomy life, so
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Harold Locke comments on the chat and says, David's last appearance pushed me to bite the bullet and subscribe to Astronomy Magazine.
He's a scholar and a gentleman.
Yes, I hope I get the April issue. So let's see. Harmony Surf said Harmony is disabled, but has been doing tons of astronomy and is finding that astronomy is a good path, and thought that that maybe should have gone astronomy instead of the path that Harmony went, but the deal is that it's never too late to start. Never too late, so.
It isn't. And of course, we are in we've talked about this before, but we're in such a golden age of discovery, of exploration. We found out in the last generation, in some ways, more than we had in the previous century about many of these big ideas, like we're talking about in the regular weekly talks, the origin, the fate, the size, the shape, all these things about the universe, the galaxy, the solar system. It's it's the best time ever.
The first image of a black hole, the finding multiple black holes and globular star clusters, just on and on and on. It's like every week is more mind-blowing than the last week,
That's right. That's right. So there's never been a better time to be interested in this. It's a fire hose of exciting things going on now. And one thing that, despite any of our challenges and struggles on Earth as little people, riding around on a planet here in this galaxy, astronomy gives us great perspective, because the enormity of the universe and what we worry about sometimes here on Earth takes a new and maybe somewhat diminished form when we understand.
It gives us great solace,
Exactly.
because when you look at the big picture and then the bigger picture and then the vastness of it all, and think of quotes from people like Carl Sagan and the pale blue dot,
Absolutely.
and that puts things into perspective. That puts your problems that you think are so magnified way into perspective, so it makes you think about, okay, well, what should I do with my life? How should I move forward? When you have a fresh perspective, this becomes very important. This is the turn in the road, okay, that you can take to make your life really what you want it to be, and do the things that you really feel are important, and it doesn't take the fact that you're alive and the fact that, and then starting to understand you're connected to the whole universe, this really can be very empowering. And
Absolutely, it is, and it's a key to rationality and to understanding. You know, we see that science is a self-correcting, clear, analytical, logical process to understand everything and the universe, the cosmos around us. And yet the rational, simple, straight answers from science sometimes are nearly miraculous, where the atoms in our bodies are all from either early in the universe or largely from the deaths of massive star or collisions of massive stars. You know, we're literally made of the stuff of the universe, and yet we have this great gift of consciousness and of being able to reflect on it and discuss it with each other, this sentience that is an amazing gift that we have.
it's miraculous. It really is. It really is. And the fact too that we built the tools to look back on the universe that created us, you know, so it's just you know, when I think of it all, it just makes me almost dizzy. It's crazy, you know, so
You could almost say that the universe is observing itself.
right.
Yeah,
Very true,
you certainly could. Yeah,
because we're definitely chunks of the universe, little chunks, but chunks nevertheless.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, Gary Albin says, will David Eichert be doing any book signings nationally? I love his book, The New Cosmos, Answering Astronomy's Big Questions.
Well, thank you very much. And yes, I will, but of course we're all sort of on hold, waiting for normality and the pandemic to get on the other side of it, and vaccination and herd immunity. And so, yeah, I think, you know, late this year we'll have some semblance of normality coming back probably, and next year will be much more like a normal year, and I'll be happy to not only be doing some book signings but writing a couple of new books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Cameron Gillis says, great story, David. I always immensely enjoyed reading your deep sky observing sketches in astronomy and deep sky magazines. People remember these things. It's important to them.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, Amando Lee says, very good works to you, David. Let's see. Any more? Lots of people saying hello. We're glad that you guys are watching. Gary Albin says, astronomy and astrophotography are my release from daily stressors. Nothing reminds me more of how minuscule our troubles are relative to the size of the universe.
Absolutely.
That's not like a real, I mean, when you might say that in just normal conversation, and some people will go, oh, wow, this guy's gone off on the deep end. All right. But, you know, this is so close to the truth of who we are, you know, when you think this way. So it is.
And if you've ever had a telescope out and you happen to sort of latch on to a neighbor who's not into this, and you drag them over and they look at Jupiter, they look at, you know, after their eyes are dark adapted, the Andromeda galaxy or whatever it is, you know, there's this, you can see the light bulb go on, you can see the understanding come almost in a moment, like I had with Saturn, you know, that first time. You know, there's an I get it moment then, you know, of something that when we walk around on this, if you will, kind of 2D surface of this planet, worried about going to the grocery or you know, whether Starbucks is open before I have to roll into the oven or whatever, you know, nobody ever thinks of anything out beyond that. You know, in fact, it was Carl Sagan used to say, you know, 99.9% of everyone on Earth will be born, live their life, and die without ever understanding their place in the cosmos. That was Carl's statement. And so I guess a crusade, you know, it's your crusade, it's David's, it's all of us here. It's mine, is to get that knowledge, that revelation to people about where you really are in the scheme of things. It changes everyone's thinking completely, you know, who embrace it.
That's right. And you can see it happen. For all of you people out there who have done astronomy outreach, maybe you've been on a street corner, or you've done something for a group of people or whatever, there's always that aha moment that David Eicher's talking about. You can watch it happen. And that is such a powerful charge for people who are involved in educational outreach and astronomy. They do it because of that. It's just to see that moment, to me, it's I can't even, maybe it's a type of enlightenment or something, when you see this happen, because they go, wow, okay, they get hit with this like a ton of bricks, and they're changed. At that point, they are changed people. So
I think the psychiatrists call it self-actualization, but I don't know if we need to get that technical about it. It's just understanding things and feeling good, maybe, is a simpler term.
That's right. That's right. That's wonderful.
The technical term is situational awareness.
There you go. Remember what George Carlin said about euphemisms and adding more syllables to everything,
If only George could be with us today.
Oh, yeah.
Armando Lee says, I agree with David J. Eicher that we live in a better time of enormous discoveries in astronomy. Great to be alive at this time.
Mm.
Yep.
You remember they talk about the good old days.
Yeah.
The good days are now.
They're right now.
Yeah.
That's right.
The old days were not so good, Yep.
Armando finishes his thought by saying, even the pandemic is dwarfed by the discoveries in astronomy now. That's true.
Yep.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Chris Larson says, love the perspectives of astronomy. Love the perspectives astronomy gives me for life. Well said. Let's see. David, your story is very inspiring and very relatable. My original aspirations were to major in English, but you found a way to do both. Fast forward 20 years and a different life path, and I still find myself writing when I'm inspired.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Stephen Hauser says, I've been a scientist for most of my life, but I was an astronomer first. While I agree that we live in a golden age, I still like to think about how cool it must have been to be a scientist or astronomer at any time in human history.
Mm-hmm.
True. Imagine being Galileo, this is Book Davies, and realizing that everything is different than we thought. Most astronomers have that Galileo moment,
Yeah.
It's been passed on now for thousands of years.
Unfortunately, 400 years later, we don't have to be in house arrest for the last part of our lives because of it.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Be careful what you write.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. But anyways, thank you. Wow, David, thank you so much for very inspiring talk and for all those comments. It's great. And thank you to the audience too.
Thank you. And thanks everyone. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you. Okay. All right. So let's move on here. We've got DT Gautam and John Johnson. Let's have DT come on first. She's up very late, I know. And DT, you were going to talk about the moons around Mars.
Everyone, yeah, talking about as we are familiar about the Mars and the moon of the Mars, and we know what the Mars is, and the Mars is the red planet with the iron oxide on its surface, and it's just days before about the rovers Perseverance landed on the Mars very successfully, and so it's I get a chance to know about the Mars and our its moon when I was involved in one program that was the Mars Mission Challenge for the students. where we have engaged for 5 weeks and learn about the first week. We have learned about what's the Mars is and the fun fact about the Mars. In the second weeks, we discuss our mission, in which mission we are going to work for. And in the third weeks is the mission about finding the water on the surface of the moon, which was trapped inside the large rocks and trapped inside this inside the surface in the different form. And as we know, there was the, water in the form of ice in the Mars. Still there is a form of water in the Mars. And it is said that there was a large ocean in the past on the Mars. And so we have choose the mission or finding the this fast water activities. And the fourth weeks we have designed our rovers. This rovers, we have designed our rovers. That's a this working model. That was models in the fifth week. And we talk about how to land on the Mars. And we make the small model rockets. And this work on the principle of in the different principle. We demonstrate how to land on the Mars and discuss about. And last week, it's the fifth week, we talk with was the live. It was the this it was it was night here. And we're still awake up and was all the lives by involving the Nepal Astronomical Society, NASA. And in that I got a lot of a chance to know about the Mars and fascinating fact about the Mars, what the Mars is. And talking about today I'm here to talk about the moons of the Mars. And as we know, there are two moons of the Mars, that is Phobos and Deimos. And Phobos and Deimos, Phobos and Deimos was discovered by American astronomer S.F. Halls in 1877. And Phobos and Deimos was named after the Greek god Phobos and Deimos, and in actual, which was the son of Ares and Aphrodite, and they were the twins. And Phobos is denoted as the personification of fear and panic, and Deimos was the god and personification of dread and terror. And now talking about all this Phobos and Deimos bear more resemblance to asteroid than the Earth moons. Both are tiny. The larger is the Phobos, is only 14 miles across, 22 kilometers, while the smaller Deimos is only 8 miles, that is 13 kilometers, and making them the smallest moon in the solar system. And both are also up of materials that resembles type first and type second, that is carbonaceous and that chondrites and substance that make up asteroids. And with their elongated shape, and they even look like asteroids than the moons. And even from the Mars, the moon doesn't look like a moon. It is said that even from the Mars, the moon of the Mars doesn't look like the moon. The more distant moon is Deimos, appears more like a star in the night sky, which we can see the star very far. It is, and it seems similar. Like Deimos appears more like a star in the night sky, and when it is full and shining its brightest, it resembles Venus as seen on Earth, the brightest star. And Phobos has the closest orbit to its primary of any moons in the solar system, but still only appears a third as wide as Earth full moons. And there's the hypothesis about related to these all, and that is the Mars was once surrounded by many Phobos and Deimos sized body, and perhaps ejected into orbit around by its collision with a large planetary jewels. And the high priorities, the porosity of the interior of Phobos, based on the of 1.88 gram of 1 centimeter cube weights are estimated to comprise 25 to 35% of Phobos, consistent with asteroidal origins. And I already said that it's all this origin of Phobos and Deimos is related to the asteroids, and this seems like asteroid, not the it seems like the moon. But in actual, it seems like asteroid and the character of asteroids. The observation of Phobos observation Phobos in thermal infrared sources a composition containing mainly and which are well known from the surface of Mars, and the spectra and distinct from those all of classes of chondrite meteoroids, again pointing away from the asteroid originals. And these are all the fun fact or interesting fact that I got to learn in about the moons of Mars. And yeah, this was. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepti. Thank you. So out of the two moons, so Phobos and Deimos, what is the one that interests you most?
This was Deimos. It was the farthest and looked like star. And so we see in from the Earth as is, and the moon of the Earth is that also the moon. It appears, it looks very close, but the Deimos, the moon of Mars, look like is star, which is the far in. It's like a Venus we see from the Earth. Deimos attracts me a lot, and learning about the Deimos, it was interesting.
Very cool. And I know that you're very involved in your astronomy club. You belong to of course, the club that you started in high school. And
Yeah.
It's the Nepal Astronomical Society, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. And what is happening in those organizations right now?
Nepal Astronomical Society has the number of juniors member, and I am the junior member of the Nepal Astronomical Society. And actually, it conducts the education, like awareness about an education of that astronomical event, and connected with this international programs, and give the chance and opportunity for us to involve in various type of programs. And like it is conducting the asteroid campaign, like finding the asteroid, and this we are involved in this mission to Mars challenge through the being the part of the Nepal Astronomical Society.
Yes.
And it conducts the different types of virtual programs and physical programs, talking about and talks about the astronomy. And mostly it fascinates all the students, and give the its aim to give the opportunity to all the students who are very keenly interested in the astronomy. And this all over the Nepal Astronomical Society, and it conducts this observation programs also. And weekly, it conducted in the Friday. And Mansa Dwad of astrophotographer of Nepal, she's also the part of the Nepal Astronomical Society, so she conduct the observation programs. And so with the junior members and others from the Nepal, they can go to this office, and they can observe the sky, night sky. So they are serving like that. And there is the one new programs, weekly this astronomy news program is conducted by the Nepal Astronomical Society to give us the updates about the astronomy, what is going on, what is happening all around the world in the field of astronomy.
Awesome. Great. Deepti, thank you so much for coming back on the program and for your persistence in making it even when you lost the internet. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, we hope to have you on next time too. That's great. Armando Lee is talking about, he's in the Philippines, and Yeah, I was just saying, look, this is the global star party. We have people from everywhere around the world, and people watching from around the world. And Mondo's on watching right now, and he says he's seeing the sun shining now in his sky, our own star. So thanks, Armando. Armando, you should join us with the after party later. So I'm going to post the link. And for those of you that are listening, we're going to run through some speakers here, but towards about 8:30, 9 o'clock Central Time, we'll be accepting after party guests. When you join us, be prepared to speak about astronomy and show us what you know. And if you got a live view or something like that through your telescope, please share it. So it's going to be very cool. Okay. All right. So coming up next here, let's, John, were you able to get your audio system up and running?
Yes, I'm back on. I don't, did things kind of fall apart there for a bit when Deputy was talking?
I don't think so.
Okay, must be just my system then.
It can happen. It can happen. It happened to me. And I lost complete power on my computers, and somehow Zoom kept the program running.
Yeah,
so it's just unbelievable, really. So
everything froze up, and then I didn't have any audio for about 5 minutes, and unfortunately,
it happens.
But I guess I'm back now. If you can hear me, I'm back.
I can hear you fine. I can hear you fine. And I know that you wanted to talk about star parties during the pandemic. We're still facing such issues. And of course, you're very involved in organizing the Nebraska Star Party, one of the great star parties of the world. So I'll give you the stage here, John.
Okay, well, thank you, Scott. Yeah, I'll get right to the point, and then we'll see how much time, because I wanted to comment on what you and David Eicher were talking about too. But I'll start with the subject at hand. As almost, I think, every star party, organized star party last year was canceled due to the virus pandemic, including ours. We held off until about the middle of June, and then basically cashed in, gave up. Although we had an impromptu, no invitation, just show up type star party, and we still had about 60, 70 people show up there. But in the location we have it up there in the north central part of Nebraska in the Sandhills, talk about social distancing. We're all social distancing up there all the time. So we had a good time, and of course we're blessed with Comet Neowise put on a big show. But we've regrouped. We are definitely going to try to have as normal as possible of a star party up there this year at the location, which is at the Merritt Reservoir State Recreation Area, southwest of Valentine, Nebraska. The dates are going to be from August 1st. We usually start on a Sunday and run through the following Friday. Some people come early, some people stay late, but that's the official dates. And as things develop and hopefully things settle down with the pandemic, we're going to try to do as much of a star party as we've normally had in years past. What still may be in question is whether we're going to allow to have our speaker program, which we do in the high school in Valentine, Nebraska. A beautiful auditorium there. Scott, you've been there, yeah.
Yes.
So we'll see. It's kind of waiting to see what that's all based on what the high school staff and superintendent feels. We're hoping we'll be able to do that. But most of the other activities out at the site will occur. And of course, the absolutely gorgeous night skies will be there regardless. So we were shooting for the first, and we did get our website registration open yesterday. And I just checked here before we came online, and I have 15 adults and 2 children already signed up in 1.5 days.
Wonderful.
And if you website, nebraskastarparty.org, and you can download a PDF document and print it out and mail in a registration. There's also a multi-page booklet guideline that you can download up there too, giving you more details. As any of you that have been there, we are on a Nebraska Game and Parks managed site. So it does require that you have a state park permit, and also if you stay overnight in a camping environment, then you have to purchase a nightly camping permit too. But they're nominal, and that's all spelled out in our information we supply online there. And then there's also links from on our Nebraska Star Party Facebook site too. So anyway, we're looking forward to it and invite you all to come on out and enjoy a truly dark sky. We always brag that you can actually see your shadow just from the light of the Milky Way.
And that is true. That is absolutely true. You can, so, and it's remarkable to stand underneath that expanse of, kind of rolling hills and is it called the grasslands? I think is what it's called.
Yes, it's the native grasslands, just goes on as far as the eye can see in any direction.
So just that expanse alone, and then this dome, that goes from like this deep blue to like cobalt black, and then you've got this arch of this glowing mass that's going across the Milky Way, and then you see streaks going across of meteor falls and stuff, and it's just magic. It really is, and it feels sacred. And
it is.
Yes, and everybody knows it, and it's just
it's a spiritual experience to go up there.
That's right.
I mean, you see the Milky Way. Basically, at that time of year, it'll be like I said, early August this year. It'll stretch from one horizon to the other.
Yes, it does, all the way down to the horizon.
All the way down to the horizon, yeah. And that's a lot of sites. You may have that dark sky clear overhead, but to sit there and watch stars pop above the horizon and see them within a degree or two after they've cleared the horizon, that's kind of amazing too.
Yes, that's true. Very true. Okay, so I did put in the link for nebraskastarparty.org. John encourages you to consider joining, with, following, perfectly acceptable social distancing rules. We are getting to a point where more and more of us are able to get our vaccines and stuff. And so we'll be out of, I am hopeful and optimistic that,
yes.
We're getting to a point where we come back to some sense of normalcy. So
I fully believe too. I think by 1st of August that the vaccines will be, any and all that have wanted to get one, hopefully will be vaccinated. And it's just, other than that, it's just common sense, it is a remote area, so plan accordingly as far as any other health needs that you may have. The closest medical doctor when we're out there is about 40 miles away. So not that I didn't want to discourage anybody, but make sure you're comfortable with being out in the sticks, because it truly is.
Oh yeah, it's remote. That's true. That's true. But that's what you have to do to get to super.
That's the beauty of it. Yeah. And also, I just wanted to update. We are forging ahead with our application to make that site an International Dark Sky Association Dark Sky Park. We're working in partnership with the Nebraska Tourism Commission, which has jumped on big time, helping us, promoting it and everything. And we've done our sky surveys out there. We've changed out what few lights that we needed to worry about around the camping area over on the north east side of the lake. There's some cabins and a trading post. Of course, the lake is a nationally known fishing resort too. I mean, there's fishermen up there all the time catching huge walleyes and northern pike out of that lake, and recreation on it and everything. But we've gotten really good support from the Nebraska Game and Parks people and the locals up there to get all that set. So we're hoping and shooting for a possible application going in towards the end of April. And who knows, maybe we'll have a great announcement to put out when we're up there in August.
Yeah.
Done it, so.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, John. Thanks for showing up.
Main thing I wanted to talk about, I listened with great rapture with you and David Eicher. I know David, he probably didn't. I've met him once back at the Astronomical League Convention 2012 there north of Chicago.
In Chicago. Yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah, that was a good
I got some great pictures of you playing in your band.
Ah, okay.
Awesome.
You and Michael, yeah. I don't know if I have any of your books. I got your cohort in crime up there. I got this one.
Mr. Bakich, yeah.
Mr. Bakich, yeah.
I'll be able to talk about it soon, but Michael and I are actually writing a book together now.
Cool.
For the next few months here.
Michael came and spoke at our 50th anniversary of. I'm also heavily involved with Omaha Astronomical Society too.
Yeah.
And he came. I think that was that the same year in 2012. I think it was. Yeah. He came and gave a great talk on the history of amateur astronomy, and we surely enjoyed him too. But,
he is a good guy, and he and Holly just retired, to Tucson.
Yeah.
So
I'd
he
heard
is
that.
blazing a trail that others of us hope to follow.
Yep.
From Wisconsin here.
And talk about your magazine. I've been a total lifelong subscriber of Sky and Tell, but I also have gotten your guys' astronomy magazine. I think down somewhere in my basement, I have every issue of astronomy, including the very first one.
Wow.
Up until at least 1990 or something.
Yeah, those early issues are rarities now.
Oh, I got them. I got the very. I'm not missing one from the first one. And was it 1980?
Nice. August 1973.
73. Yeah, August 1973. I have at least probably 20 years of those.
Wow.
Much to my wife's chagrin, having all those magazines. But they're fun. They're fun to go back and thumb through. It's great time. And then, like you guys are talking outreach, I tell you, I live for outreach, and these last 6-8 months, it's been tough on me. Because it's part of what talk about this spark that drives you, and that's one that drives me, and I get downright depressed if I don't get a chance to do that.
Yeah.
And because we typically around Omaha here in the fall, we typically do outreach for school groups, and we'll go out and see 1,500 to 1,800 kids over the season. And none of that this past year, so we really miss it.
Right.
Let's hope we can get things back on an even keel here.
Right. Well, we're doing outreach right now. And this is good.
I alerted some of my fellow OAS members, so maybe they're watching.
I hope so.
But anyway, more to follow on the Star Party, and Scott, I'll be back down there at some point.
I enjoy seeing you and your wife when you come down, so that's great.
Oh yeah,
that's great. There's been some talk tonight too of this close conjunction, I guess, of Mars and the Pleiades. What are the details on that? Does anyone know? I mean, has it been a long time since it's been this close? I hear silence.
I've not been tracking that at all.
Hi, Molly.
Oh, hi.
Molly's on.
I'm here.
Has anybody got? Let me. I'll take a quick look at the planetarium program here.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is someone mentioned that it's been a long time since this has been this good.
I have to say, we did have a unannounced event for the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction there on the 21st of December. we didn't figure we better advertise it, and we set up in the local park. Even without any advertisement, we had 60, 70 people show up.
Oh, that's awesome.
We all kept our masks on and kept our distance, so it was great. Nobody had any issues.
Book Davies says tonight is Mars and Pleiades' closest meeting until the year 2038. So there you go. So it should be a beautiful sight. Okay, all right. We are. Thank you very much, John, for coming on, and we will go to Libby and the stars, and then we're going to wrap up this first segment with Terry Mann from the Astronomical League, and then come back on after about a 10-minute break. So, Libby, you're on.
Well, it is now March, and I have been reminded very many times that it is now Women's Month. And it's nice to look back at NASA, like all those years ago, when there weren't many women workers there at NASA doing astronomy. And now looking at NASA, if you look at NASA videos, there's millions. And I made a presentation today on one of the most important not astronomers, but NASA workers, Katherine Johnson, who saved the Apollo astronauts and Apollo 13. And I made a presentation that I want to share.
Great.
So here it is. I like making presentations. It's funny when I'm doing school ones, I accidentally put Libby in the stars sometimes, and my teachers are like, what?
That's good.
But here's a capsule. So Katherine Johnson is one of the most important NASA workers. It's nice to look back like a long time ago, and it's just history has changed, and I feel like a lot of NASA workers, it's just a whole range of people all over the world doing space science, and I think Katherine Johnson is one of the people who changed it. And I also want to talk a little bit about Apollo 13 because Katherine Johnson saved the astronauts in Apollo 13. So here's Katherine Johnson, and she is mostly known in NASA for saving the astronauts when their oxygen tank exploded. Now imagine you're in space and you're just sitting there and you're like, oh snap, my oxygen tank just exploded. That is like, most astronauts don't think they would make it at all, or be able to make it out alive. Like, honestly, it's scary even just going into space and being stranded up there. It's scary, and it's real scary when your oxygen anyway, it's scary when your oxygen tank explodes. And I find it amazing that the technology back then, they were able to save the astronauts with that technology. And many people didn't know Katherine Johnson could, do anything really. Fun fact, NASA actually rejected her the first time she tried to get in. And then she gets a job into NASA, and then suddenly she's saving all the astronauts in serious situations out in space. And it's just amazing to think that no one gave her a chance. And now that she came into NASA and she was working her job, they didn't really give her a high job, many things that she could do at NASA, doing a lot of things for the missions, and most of it was just math, and they didn't really know she could do a lot, and they gave her a bigger chance, and she took it far, and she saved the astronauts. So Apollo 13 is one of NASA's most known missions. I'm happy that most of them made it back alive. Because most astronauts, when they're going into space, the number one thing that they fear is having something explode or something fall off, because that can benefit your whole flight. I mean, you can't live without oxygen, and just any astronaut, like anybody, not even if you're an astronaut or if you're not a astronaut, anybody would fear like losing something of the spaceship, even if you weren't like, it's just scary. And it was just so nice. Like NASA, they've changed like, and I know there's many like, it's funny to think like Apollo 13 is well, anyway, I don't know what I was about to talk about. But when I was little, I got to visit a lot of space museums because my brother used to be in space, but he never really followed along with it too much. And I would go into the space museums, and I would always be like looking at the capsules because you know when they come back down from space, they say the capsules, and seeing all the pieces of the capsule, they're all so important. And it's not really too astronomy related, but we're in the age of space travel, so we're going to have to know about space travel. I mean, we might be the next on the flight to the moon and the International Space Station because you can now pay money to go up there. And you know, you have to know about NASA astronomy, and you have to know about NASA history too, also, so we don't repeat those mistakes again. And they made it home alive, which, I mean, not one of them did, but anyway, it's just nice for us to know our mistakes so that we can go back and we know not to do that again. And I feel like NASA keeps on improving. Oh, like improving a bunch. I know NASA, they stopped for a while, and one of my friends told me NASA that isn't like alive anymore. Their company stopped, and I was like, no, they didn't. NASA didn't stop. It just stopped the space shuttle, and that was like when I was first getting into NASA history. I was more into NASA history before I started studying astronomy, and my friend was like, NASA doesn't have a company anymore. And I was like, no, they don't. They still do stuff. And I feel like anybody deserves a chance to do space and astronomy because no one knows what you can do. And, you know, some kid out there, like any age of sorts, could have very good math skills. And NASA's like, okay, do you want to work for us? And they just give them a job that doesn't do anything. They can do amazing things. And I feel everyone deserves a chance, no matter who they are. And they just deserve a chance to learn and have an education of space and astronomy. So definitely that. Here's some fun facts. The oxygen tank exploded 56 hours into the flight, which is a couple days long. The moon mission to go to the moon is like 8 days long. So it wasn't too far in. So, I mean, they weren't really expecting it to explode. I mean, no astronaut would expect it to explode. And I feel like NASA was kind of showing the whole world. I know NASA was like, honestly, for America, but I feel like it's worldwide now. Anyway, back then they were showing them like, we tried to go to the moon, but we failed. So we're not there yet, but we're going to keep on improving until we get there to the point where we can go to the moon, where we like put the first man on the moon. And they had many health problems on the way back home. At space camp, I got to experience a simulator if you were coming back into Earth and like when you were coming back into Earth. And I remember everybody was like so sick after it in my crew, in my team. So many of them actually had to leave space camp because they threw up from the simulator of coming back into Earth's atmosphere. And I just thought that was crazy. I mean, I didn't even go into space and I'm sick from doing a simulator. And Katherine Johnson, Yeah, I said that she got rejected. Yeah. Everyone deserves a chance in astronomy. She graduated from college at the age of 18, which is a very young age to graduate at college. Most people graduate in the early 20s, and someone graduating at 18, not many people actually have jobs at 18. And she's going to graduate at 18 and like astronomy and space and math, which is pretty crazy. I know a lot of people in school, they can do a lot more, but school does not move them up a grade. But it just takes a lot of skill and knowledge to graduate at 18. I mean, even if you tried hard, I couldn't even graduate at my age. That would be like crazy. I'd be like super smart. But I feel like everyone deserves a chance, whether who you are. You deserve a chance to learn astronomy. It doesn't take a lot to learn astronomy. You just not even like just a library card. Just read books at your library about space. And it's National Women's Month, so definitely I feel girls should get a chance to learn astronomy, and they should get a chance to learn in any subject.
Absolutely.
Yes, math, whatever subject they want, because they have the same right as everyone else to learn whatever they want. And I know a lot of when space quotes. One of the most famous quotes, not even just in space in general, is just Houston, we have a problem. Now this is definitely edited. When the quote is like more. So the quote we say today is Houston, we have a problem. The quote they said is Houston, we had a problem, which is a little bit different, but I never knew where the quote came from. I just thought it was a NASA tagline that they just added in case they had a problem. But think the Apollo 13 astronauts. Many of the astronauts on board had lots of. I think one of them had like a bunch of experience in going in space, and one of them didn't. And I mean, imagine going to space in the first time and your oxygen tank explodes. That's going to be scary. But and also if you've been like doing space for a long time and you get on board and the oxygen tank breaks, that would also be a huge problem too, because you won't be expecting that. You'll only be expecting the same mission you ever had before. And your first time, like being on a spaceship, I've never been on a spaceship before. I'm only 11. I haven't been on a spaceship. But it's just, I've been on simulators. But anyway, the first time I was scared. And one of my friends, she'd been probably coming to space camp for like 2 years. And she was like so excited to get on, and I was scared to death. And I got on and I loved it. But I feel like the full quote of everything of this talk that I wanted to get through is that everyone should have an education, girl, boy, age, whatever. Where you're from, no one cares. You need an education. Whatever science or whatever subject field you want, you can have an education of anything you like dream of, anybody's dream job. You can be whatever. When I was in preschool, I wanted to be a cat and no one stopped me. I still believed I could be a cat. You can't be a cat, but anyway, I wanted to be I wanted to work for NASA, and many people were like, you can't work for NASA. NASA stopped, but my friend was wrong. And I feel like I've like I like when I see kids my age, I always like to get through that you can have an education and whatever you want. It may change whatever you want to do in life may change a couple of years later, but but you can enjoy what you want to do now and keep on looking up at the stars. No matter who you are, keep on looking up. Whatever science subject field you want, whatever job you want. There's always people there to support you in whatever job, subject, anything. Heck, I wanted to be a cat, just anything. You could be whatever you want.
Libby, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for that inspiring talk.
Thank you.
You know, Catherine, Catherine Johnson is, I mean, it's so wonderful that we're learning about her life at this time. It should have been celebrated decades ago. But you know, she has been recognized in many different ways. And I think there's like a NASA computational facility named after her right now. And what an amazing woman, you know, so. And an inspiration to women and girls all over the world, because definitely she faced hardship and opposition with such a brilliant mind. And, you know, people like her, I'm sure she worked with the whole crew of people that got the astronauts back, but she deserves a lot of credit. So thanks for bringing that up tonight, Libby. And, you know, I personally think that we're looking at a future space explorer right now in you. And, you know, so keep following your path. It's going to be awesome. And yes, you will get a lot of support. You will. All right. I think what we're going to do right now is we're going to transition. Richard Grace has a live view through his telescope. We're going to do that. And then we're going to go straight to Terry Mann from the Astronomical League and do door prize questions. And then we're going to take a 10-minute break. So here we go.
All right, here. Give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Share the screen. First, tonight, this is the setup that we're working with. We've been trying to get everything set up and tuned in, and did a little bit of primary mirror alignment tonight before the show here, and changed out some filters. We're using the Optilong L Enhance tonight because it's a little better with some moonlight. It should be coming up in about an hour over here on the East Coast. And with that, so far, we've managed to get this from the Orion Nebula.
Beautiful.
Let's see if I can't make it a little bigger for everybody. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Orion won't be around too much longer. You know, you got to get it. It's almost going down now, so figure get it while the getting's good, and use the nebula filter. I usually like to transition around between galaxies, nebulas, and all that stuff. But tonight, just threw in the L Enhance. Figure I'll be doing nothing but nebula tonight, and getting as much as I could. And I started off on the rosette real fast, and then I hit the meridian flip, and I figured, well, I got to jump across the meridian a little bit anyway. So I went over to Orion, and after this, I'll probably go back to the rosette.
Right.
With that, I will stop sharing, and you guys can get on with the show.
Yep. Well, the Orion Nebula has been something that's fascinated astronomers for a long time. You know, I like the fact that it's one of the first. I think it was the first nebula ever photographed. Henry Draper photographed it on a new dry plate. Okay, they were using wet plates before that, but this is September 30th, 1880. We should probably have some sort of big celebration, an Orion Nebula photography night on September 30th. But now I'd like to turn our attention to Terry Mann. Terry, thank you for joining us tonight. You have questions from the last Global Star Party we did.
Yes, I do.
And the winners, and some new questions. So,
okay. Well, thank you, Scott. It's a pleasure to be here. First, let me start with our warning that whenever you look at the sun, please make sure you have the appropriate filters. You can do a lot of damage to your eyes if you don't. So this is question 1 from the last star party. Standing on the surface of what rocky body of the solar system would a person weigh the most? In other words, of the rocky bodies, which one has the greatest surface gravity? And the answer is Earth. And Israel Montesoro was the winner of that.
All right.
Question 2 was Neptune is always the 7th most distant major planet from Earth. What is the 8th most distant major planet? And it says some people would say this is a trick question, but it's not. You just need to think outside the box. Of course, you need to first think of what the box is. So the answer is planets orbiting Proxima Centauri. And again, Israel Montesoro. Question 3. The Astronomical League offers up to 10 youth awards each year. And thank you to Explore Scientific for your sponsorship of the National Young Astronomer Award. And thank you to the Horkheimer Charitable Fund for your sponsorship of the Youth Service, Imaging, and the Journalism Awards. So the question is, on most years, what is the deadline for the award nominations? And the answer is March 1st, and Richard Grace has won that.
All right, Richard.
Yeah.
Great.
And then for tonight's questions, a moon in the solar system bears the name of a condition manifesting itself by the inability to retrieve a word from memory when needed. What world does this moon orbit?
Okay, so we are going to have you email your questions in to Explore Alliance at explorescientific.com. Okay, you don't answer them in chat, you answer them in email. And then we announce winners on the next Global Star Party.
Okay. And question number 2. This galaxy, which lies 32 billion light years away today, is the furthest galaxy ever imaged. What is its name? Eridanus, the river, was one of 48 constellations that Ptolemy identified in the 2nd century. Eridanus was also taken as a Latin name for what real river on Earth?
Yes. Great questions. Great questions. Okay, so you're going to want to send in your answers to Explore Alliance at explorescientific.com. There will be, in all fairness, because of the difference in our simulcasting, there's a few seconds delay between simulcasts. We take all the people to answer the question right, and then they are picked at random, and then that's how you win. So little bit of luck is involved, but also you have to answer the question correctly. So thank you, Terry. Terry, before we go to break, can you tell us a little bit for people who don't know about the Astronomical League, what it's all about, why you should join, and where did they go to join?
Okay, thanks, Scott. The Astronomical League is really an umbrella organization of astronomy clubs, both here in the U.S., and we are growing our international clubs too. What we do, we have, as you have heard, a lot of observed programs. That is one of the strong things that the League really has, along with awards, many other things, a lot of information. If you're learning astronomy or an expert in astronomy, our observed clubs are just amazing. We have roughly, I think, over 300 clubs right now, over 18,000 members at this point. We have a national conference every year, usually in July or August. And this year, we're going to wait and see how things are looking for what we will do. And that's a great way to meet everybody and to talk to everyone. And to join, you can go to astroleague.org. And there's a lot of information there, but I will say we are updating our website right now. So please forgive us for any the dead links, anything going on. We are definitely doing an overhaul there, and it might take us a couple months, but we will get everything all back together. But you can always go to the contact pages if you need to know anything and it's not there, and contact any one of us.
Wonderful. That's great.
Well, thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Terry. Thanks for coming on to the program tonight. Well, now we're going to take a short 10-minute break. We'll come back with more speakers, more astronomy, more global star party. And so we'll see you in a few.
Hi, Terry.
Hey, how are you doing?
Okay, how about you?
Pretty good. We finally got some clear skies here tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've had, not to brag, but I've had 10 consecutive nights of clear skies.
Oh, be gentle. Ouch. That hurts.
But it's cloudy tonight, so there's...
Yeah,
of course, it's going to be cloudy and rainy as the moon is going away, So.
Yeah, we're sitting at about 32 degrees right now.
Oof.
So it's a lot. Last night, I was out last night, and with the wind chill, it was 18. Yeah, it's kind of chilly, but it's better than it has been, than it was there for a while. So hopefully now we're going to start warming up and get a few clear nights now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. It's been hitting daytime highs of the 60s here. So
you just have to keep hurting, don't you? Clear nights,
and we
weather.
hit 80. We hit 80 a couple days last week. It was real nice.
Yeah.
I had to put on sunscreen when I went to outdoor church on Sunday because I burned the Sunday prior.
Oh, no. I really feel bad for you.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, I can hear that sarcasm dripping.
Although I took a quick break and because I had to get out and take a look there and Mars and the Pleiades. Yeah, it's really cool. I just grabbed my binoculars and took a look.
Is that
at them.
tonight?
Tonight. I was just out not more than 10 minutes ago and looked at it. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go do that too.
Okay, Terry, real quick. Did you mention something about Alcon? What's the status now that we're kind of just among friends here?
I'll tell you what, we are going to probably announce the status on March 12th. At this point, we haven't got that answer just yet.
Okay, all right, because I was chatting earlier today with Peggy Walker, and she didn't know either. So
Yeah, I think it will either be virtual or live or both. There will be. My understanding at this point is there will be an Alcon of one form or another.
Okay. Oh, great. Very good. Thanks.
Sure.
And Molly, I forgot. Where are you located?
I'm in San Francisco Bay Area.
San Francisco Bay Area. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have dear friends that live in Fremont.
Okay. Yeah.
I was in the Navy with the guy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's up here a little north of Berkeley. We don't really get that fog that settles in over San Francisco.
We're down there. Yeah.
Yeah, occasionally, like some mornings in the fall, we'll have a little fog, but really not a whole lot. So we get a lot of clear nights here. I finally went and did a tally, and over the last about 18 months that I've lived here, I've had 250 clear nights.
That's amazing. I would have never thought that out there.
Yeah, it's incredible. I love it. Yeah, it's so great.
So you're ready to move back to Dayton, right?
Totally.
Yeah, I hear you. You ought to have a good view of the total lunar eclipse on May 26th then.
Yes, it's on my calendar. I will.
Yeah, it was on mine. Yeah.
It's really late. It's like after midnight. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna well, let's see. it's a little hard to program because of the short exposure times. Let's see what can I do. I'm going to find some way to program it in advance.
I'm sure you will.
Take a multitude of exposures and then go to bed and just have the exposures run, and I'll go through them in the morning and pick out the ones with the good times and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Here it's such a small partial, and it's actually happening very close to sunrise.
Yeah.
But here we're going to have next to nothing. We'll have something a little bit, but not a whole lot. I'd rather be out where you're at.
Yeah. And I think there's another one later in the year, isn't there?
Yeah, I think in November, I think.
Yeah. It's let's see, I think I put it on my calendar too. Yeah, November 18th. But I don't remember how what part like I think we're getting some of it, but I don't remember if it's mostly over the US or mostly over the ocean. So I have to go look that up.
I was thinking we're going to have some of it, but not the whole thing. It'll be a partial.
Well, I think, yeah, and I think it's earlier in the evening though.
Yeah, I think so too.
Make a look up. November.
For me, definitely.
2021. Let's see. Yeah, time and date's like my favorite website for looking at these things. Actually, the Umbra's gonna cover the whole U.S. It looks like. It's gonna be a widely visible eclipse. I mean, it's still, okay, it's technically penumbral, but it's deep.
Yeah.
Let's see.
When does this happen, Molly?
November 18th.
Ah.
Yeah, and here it starts at 10 p.m. So a little earlier. So you guys should probably get some of it, and because it looks like it'll be over most of the U.S.
Yeah.
Actually, like pretty much the whole U.S. Here, I'll put the link in chat. You can go look at it.
I think some of you that wanted to join the after party did not get the link, and so I'm going to put that back in.
I've got a bit of a backlog of deep sky data I've been slowly working my way through. Waiting for a simulation to run or in the evenings or when I don't feel like working anymore. I'm almost ready for my first data set with my new Optilong L Enhance or L Extreme filter, sorry. And I've got a data set on the Rosette Nebula on my Takahashi that I'm very excited to process with that filter. So that'll be fun.
Molly, I just got the L Extreme myself. I haven't tried. I tried it the other night, but like I said, it's been so cloudy here. I didn't have enough to do anything with. I'm hoping over the next week to start working with it. Are you impressed?
I wouldn't say that I'm really wowed by the subframes, but that's just because my standard of reference is, a 3 nanometer wide hydrogen alpha filter on my monochrome camera. You're just not going to be able to beat that. The contrast seems kind of low, but I think it's largely because on the color cameras have less transmission, so the signal to noise ratio is lower than like hydrogen alpha through a very narrow filter on my monochrome camera. But I think the real story will be told when I go to stack it, and then I can get a proper look.
Definitely. I'll
be
curious.
I'll be. I might write up something about it as well in various places, my blog, and maybe probably also for AstroGear Today or something like that. So I'm excited to see what comes out of that. And I'm also imaging some dimmer and more difficult targets to get from here as well, like Jones Emberson 1. I can just barely see it in the subframes. So, but if I get I've been getting in the habit of sitting on targets for a couple of hundred subframes, which ends up being anywhere between 12 and 20 hours, depending on how many have good tracking. And so I might be able to pull it out, which would be really exciting, because I tried it with broadband filters on my monochrome camera, couldn't get it. I don't think I've reattempted it on my monochrome camera since I've gotten my super narrow band filters yet. I need that back on my imaging list. But yeah, so I'm doing several narrowband targets on the color camera with the L Extreme right now, because of the moonlight and stuff like that. And I think I'm probably just going to end up converting over to doing exclusively narrowband, mostly from here, because I just haven't been in love with the results. I've been getting wideband, and that's because I live in a Bortle 7 zone. So
that's what I was going to ask. You're at Bortle 7. I think my yard is like Bortle 4. So yeah, I'm hoping.
Well, we're all back here. We have a couple of guests that are all the way from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Cesar Brolo and his son Augustine. Is that correct?
Yeah,
right.
That's fine. Yeah.
Great. So Cesar, this is your son. I'm going to let you introduce him. Could you hear me, Cesar?
Yes. Now, yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I would like for you to introduce your son for his talk.
Yes. Sorry that I I moving my equatorial mount and my camera. Trying to take some pictures of Orion, and today I have pictures of Orion.
Yes.
Not near to the building like last week. If not, I had my I had the care to take the pictures earlier to have pictures in a clear sky. Introducing my son Agustin, of course that he starting to go with the family to start parties very early, like a baby. Of course, his first start party was in Atlanta, Georgia. I have a picture to show to David Aker with the sign of astronomy magazine in the entrance of the start party. I have in my arms to Agustin with 2 years and a half years old, a baby. Yes, I know that it's embarrassing for him, but okay.
It's good though.
Yes, in the
Any
dinner,
chance to embarrass your children on the air on broadcast is
horrible.
wonderful.
I know. Sorry.
Parents are good for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Augustine,
Yes,
your
I know
mom's
that's
friends,
funny.
okay? So don't worry.
Yes. Fortunately for Agustin, we don't found this picture in my house, and well, and he's really he is all time helping to our customers. When our customers start to photography, normally they have more problem with processing. Normally we give the contact of Agustin and help to people from all ages, especially people that from our ages and more people that sometimes don't have all contact with the computers, all about guiding, connecting with the PC, photo processing, and he's very helping to know to help to the people to go ahead with their pictures of the sky. And in our third parties, he's the DJ but a really a rare type of DJ because he's working all time with the telescope, computer, and giving all time pictures alive to the audience because he, but maybe from his 15 years old, and actually he had
cool.
before. Yes, last week
cool.
it was his birthday. Well, I don't embarrassing him more, and I prefer that he start to talk, processing pictures, you know.
Sure.
And yes, I know. I think that he know more than me about processing, and actually I give him pictures from Orion took with the camera and the equator mount, and he have another pictures from Neta Carinae. Well, he can start to talk about the processing and what all that he do it with this.
Wonderful. All right, Augustine, the stage is yours.
Well, hey, well, thanks for having me. Well, my name is Augustine, as she said. I'm 24 years old, and yeah, we could say I'm a amateur at this. I would never say that I actually know how to do stuff, but I am always keen to search stuff in YouTube and learn and use the programs we all talk about. In this case, I've been trying to learn more in depth PixInsight, which is the most popular and user friendly, I could say. And so yeah, I think the message you sent to my dad was I talk about the whys of calibration frames. Why do we need calibration frames, right?
Yes. Yeah. How do you use calibration frames and image processing? Why do you need them?
Yeah. Well, why do we need them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we start with a problem here. I mean, it's not a real problem, but it's more like a static problem in the first place. It will turn into a professional obstacle, but in the first place is the most popular thing here is noise. Noise is it's data that we don't need in our photos and will actually in a professional investigation, it will ruin the data you will investigate. In this case, star brightness values, right? And background values also. So to remove that noise, here comes the first and most common type of calibration frames, which is the dark frame. What is a dark frame? Like why? So what you do to take this calibration frame, which is a normal photo, just that you do it in a kind of different way because you have to cover up your telescope. What you do is grab the same parameters which you use for the light frames, which are the normal images you just took about the object. It could be any object. It could be, I don't know, nebula, galaxy, anything. Well, when you're done with all the imaging, when you already took all the lights with all the color filters and everything, then it's time to do the calibration frame preparation. So the darks, you take the same parameters, ISO and exposure time. You copy everything, but the only difference is you put the lid on your telescope. you just close it. So that's when the dark word comes in use. Dark frame. Same photo, but with the telescope covered. That will actually only save the voltage of each pixels, because how do you gain information in your sensor?
Which
right?
is the noise, right? This voltage
Right.
in the sensor.
For you to have a color or a brightness in a pixel, you need voltage because it's a photosensitive capacitor, right? So that's how the camera works. For the camera to be turned on, it needs electricity. So in a ideal world, the camera, when it's not taking a photo, when a photon doesn't rebound in a pixel, the ideal thing will be that the pixel will be black, but it doesn't. So the thing is that you will have pixels that will start at a value higher than 0, and that's when the noise comes. You will see a photo with a background, and you will see that there are like little clouds with red, green, and blue colors, and you are like, why? Like, really, why? And for taking that out, you need these dark frames, which are the noise, the extra noise your sensor generates. Then comes the bias frames. The bias frames, or offset, it's something that looks a lot like the dark frames, but instead of having the same exposure time, right? Instead of recompiling all the noise from the same exposure time, what you do is using the shortest amount of exposure time possible that your camera gives you. It can be the CCD or a reflex camera. It's the same. You just go to the shortest time possible, right? If in my case, the shortest one is 1/4000. So yeah, that's a really fast photo. So this, what it does, there's something called banding, right? That is the same idea, the same concept as the dark frames, but in a very short motion. So the electricity goes in horizontal arrays. It goes from, let's say, left to right, then goes down, that left to right goes down. So this electricity is not like a very average, it's not distributed perfectly. Sometimes in the photo, in the middle, you can have some higher voltage that will light the pixels more than the other ones. So here comes the word banding. You will see literally lines of light up pixels in your photo. And this is what the offset or bias frame does. It will take one refresh of the sensor to take in account, okay, one refresh, you will have this type of energy going into the pixels, right? And you will see some lines, all red, blue, and green. And that's what now you know that there's that extra noise, even adding on of the dark. So you have the dark gives you all the noise in the period of time of the whole exposure time, plus the error, between quotes, the error of the banding, right? So that's noise related. That's all noise related. The whole exposure and the fast refresh of the sensor noise. And then comes the last one, which is the flat frame. The flat frame, it's something that it's more people don't use it, but it's the one that people should use more because it's a more common problem that you wouldn't think of. Why? Let's remember, we are using a telescope which is round on a sensor that is rectangular. So like it's impossible to have a even lighting on the sensor, right? So like you're gonna go process a photo, you're gonna stretch the pixel information, and you will see that there's a circle of light, and then you have some vignetting in the corners.
Mm.
I can't process that, obviously.
Very
You're
common.
losing information, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, here is when the flat frame comes, and what you do is grab your telescope / lens. If you're photographing with a camera lens, a small zoom or whatever you're using, just cover the side where the light comes in, cover it up with a white t-shirt, and try to get a even illumination with any exposure time. It doesn't matter. Just what you could do is respect the ISO this time. You can take the flat frame and use a whatever exposure time you want that will give you the right even white image. It doesn't have to be too dark or bright. It has to be in the middle. That will show you, like, the perfect point is you can see the vignetting. Like when you can see the vignetting, that's the perfect point.
I see.
The perfect exposure time, right? So yeah, what the program does is it literally just takes your flat after doing all the calibration and registration, takes your flat and divides the pixel information of the flat, divides it with the light frame. And the result is a more even rectangular image, which it will still be kind of not perfect, but I mean, it really helps because having a circular image with the center object and then vignetting the borders against having a visible stars in the borders, which is really cool because you will not have to crop the image. You have to crop less. And also, besides the cosmetic thing, when you're processing and when you're doing background extraction or whatever of the first process you do, when you're doing that process in a very high vignette image, it will take in account that bad information and it will do a bad process. So if you do the flats correctly, you will have a better analysis of the algorithm, a better result. So yeah, that's the main reason why we use calibration frames, because it's not perfect, just how it comes out from the camera. And if you're going to do a investigation / just a hobby from your house, it's either the cosmetic or the scientific. Yeah, someone is raising the hand.
Armando, I've got a question for you regarding calibration frames.
Yeah.
When it comes to calibration frames, is it beneficial to use dithering? So if you have, the individual pixels, if you have you're bound to have a defect where a pixel's receiving more energy than another, just from the backlighting, what have you, under the CMOS. Is it beneficial to use dithering on a camera for calibration photos?
From literally my perspective, I've seen really really little improvements. Like those are those are the things that give you like little differences. People use it and there are people that don't. The thing is, when you use it and you see that your image is more accurate, taking in account a reference image, let's say, I don't know, the Hubble or someone with a better equipment, if they use, for example, this is the problem with algorithms of integration. Like there are people that use Sigma clipping when adding one frame to another, and they say, oh no, if you're using more than 30, you should use winsorized. I've used both in both scenarios with a small amount, with a high amount. The only thing that really gives you a difference is when you use the what is this called? The process that multiplies the information of the photo, that makes it a bigger
drizzle.
Yeah, drizzle. Yeah. In my experience, the only thing that actually gives you a better gives the algorithm a better comprehension about the information in the image is the drizzle of the so during the process, the multiplication of the information. But I didn't use dithering that much to know that little difference, if it's actually useful. So
dithering helps a lot with color cameras because you get this walking noise that can make these diagonal streaks in the background. But as far as dithering on calibration frames, it's not going to make any difference whatsoever because you're not registering those frames. So even if you move your telescope around, that hot pixel is going to be in the same spot every time. Plus, you want that hot pixel to be in your dark frame, for example, because then it will get subtracted, which is what you want.
Yeah.
So there's no use in dithering your calibration frames, but there's absolutely use for dithering your light frames, especially if you have a color camera, and especially if you're seeing that diagonal kind of weird streaky noise in the background of your images.
Thank you, Molly.
Okay.
I appreciate that. I am using a color camera. I'm using an ASI 183 MC Pro cooled. So thank you.
I finally started dithering with my 294 from ZWO, and it's made a huge difference in the amount of background noise in my images, surprisingly.
Maybe I didn't see a difference because I was using the hot pixel removal. So that's why I didn't, maybe, yeah, with a Deep Sky Stacker, because I wasn't using the batch preprocessing with PixInsight. I started using like very short time ago because it's very it's a very it asks you for very perfect images, which I don't have. So every single ellipse, every single star that looks like an ellipse, it will reject that image. So that's why I use Deep Sky Stacker for stacking, and then PixInsight for like the magic of processing. But yeah, that's why I didn't see the actual result, the difference of the dithering. But yeah,
it's one of those things that when you're first getting started out, you don't really need to pay attention to so much, because you have higher, you have lower orders of other issues to deal with first. But then once your tracking is good enough and your guiding is good enough, then you can start looking at the second order issues, like dithering and stuff like that.
Yeah, the specifics of the
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like a second order thing to look at, as opposed to a first order, like just getting started in astrophotography, kind of a thing to look at, if that makes sense.
Yeah, right. The like the specific tiers, like the tier 1. Okay, you should have a photo that you can notice that that's a start and not a plane going in the photo. Because yeah, I mean, if you have the I don't backlash, or like just a bad polar alignment or an error in the PhD, you will have like a big line that you'll, these are not stars clearly, but yeah, that was very helpful. When I move from deep sky stagger to fixed inside a line stacking, I will take that in account. So I wanted to show the difference between how calibration images look, just to give an idea of which kind of information each frame has. The difference between a dark frame, a flat frame, and a bias frame.
Okay.
So you can see the error types of the camera. I think I will have to do some stacking really fast. Maybe, okay. Okay, no, here I have a master bias and a master dark. I'm gonna share screen in a moment.
Okay, go ahead.
You can see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna remove the rejections. Okay, so this is the master dark. I'm gonna make it bigger. And I'm gonna stretch it.
Okay.
So you guys can see the error. I mean, how the information. I think, well, okay, here.
Okay.
This is more like an even noise, but you can actually see some grid happening.
Yes.
But yeah, it's mainly an even noise on the sensor. You don't have any actual patterns. And
yeah, you know, one of the confusions that I dealt with when it came to calibration frames, I thought, you know, coming from a very deep photography background into astrophotography, I figured that dark frames and bias frames and flat frames were similar to stacking images in photography, where you're looking for high dynamic range, and that's not what we're doing.
Yeah, no, right. That, yeah, it's like when you're like an amateur like me, it's like a cosmetic thing, but then you realize that it has an actual impact on your processing, and then in the next level on your investigation, because it will actually ruin your data. Because there are programs that you just throw the image in the TIFF format, and you just throw it in, and then the program, whatever it is, if you are using a photometric, I don't know, you're gonna see star values for a known nova, maybe you will have a non-accurate star value. So yeah, that's the main use. So here's the dark and the BS right here. I'm gonna do a stretch. Well, actually, this is not showing the banding I wanted. Yeah, I can't really see it. Maybe this was maybe the camera is actually not having real banding.
It can be easier to see if you run the super bias process on this master.
Super bias?
Okay. Yeah, on that master bias, run the super bias process on that. It's under processes.
Oh, I've never used it. Super bias?
Yeah, all the way over on the right.
Oh, here, right.
Yeah, you need to have the image open.
Yeah, I closed it. Here.
What super bias does is it, let's say you took 20 bias frames and you stacked them. It does some averaging, and I don't know exactly what other math, but it turns it into essentially like having 100 or 1,000 bias frames. It smooths out all of the random noise.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So it does
So
it
you
does a
improve this.
multiplication and then a median from that. From what I can see here, multi-scale layers, 7 and then median.
So the layering is for detecting the scale of the noise that's present. Yeah, so there's your banding. And if you hit the 24-bit, if you go over to your upper right, where it has the picture of the computer screen with the 24, and turn on that's 24-bit display on your super bias frame.
Oh, now you see it.
Close the other one.
Leave it open and then hit that
Yeah,
24 button. No, your super bias frame that you had open. Yeah, that one. Hit the 24.
Oh, I thought I had to redo it.
Okay. Oh no, what that's doing it's displaying it in a higher bit depth, so that you can see.
Yeah, look at that. So now you can really see
so
it.
there's your banding.
Yeah.
It also has like strange noise, going horizontally as well.
Yeah, that it may be fixed pattern, or it may be variations that are artifacts of the stacking and.
Yeah, maybe that's poor stacking, right? That should
I
be.
keep seeing that kind of thing in mine too.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure whether it's an artifact or whether that's fixed pattern noise. But you can see how low of a level it is and how unlikely it is for it to ever actually show up in your light frames. Yeah, there's some debate as to whether bias frames help or hinder with CMOS cameras. I found that it worked all right on my DSLR, but caused problems on my Astro cameras. So if you're using biases and you're getting really weird stuff in your light frames, then skip using the biases and just use darks and flats.
Darks and flats. Now, do you do, will you take lots of flats and lots of darks and make like a master flat or a master dark?
Yeah, I will use a master dark. I mean, a master everything.
Okay.
For when you have the same ISO. For when you have the same ISO, PixInsight lets you combine the XISF with the initial format of the photo, because it converts it to the PixInsight format and then uses the extension that they use.
I see.
Which doesn't work with Deep Sky Stacker, I think, because with Deep Sky Stacker, it turns it into a TIFF, but it won't combine the TIFF with the main photo as the PixInsight does. That it will first convert to TIFF in this case, and then combine with the master you selected. That's, I don't know, some programmer laziness, maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's already a very good program, but those details,
It is free software, so
yeah,
it's gonna have its limitations.
Well, maybe when I'm better at programming, I can suggest some, I don't know, some plugin or some lines of code and do that.
Yeah. Well, I asked to have this conversation about these calibration frames. A lot of times when you see image processing being done on, at least on my show, they will say, yes, I removed I subtracted the darks and divided the flats and I used, I did this and that, and they kind of like gloss over it. Okay. Because that's not the real exciting image. They're trying to get to the juice of showing this amazing, beautiful shot that they did.
Yeah.
But you can't get there without really doing this stuff.
You can't forget about the 4 hours of processing that this takes.
Yeah.
As a low number, kind of low number.
These are some of the really, foundational things that you need to learn how to do to make an exceptional image, and also to do science imaging. You need to do this. So anyhow, Augustine, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Oh, I was gonna show. I wanted to show a fast flat frame. So
Okay.
you can guys see, because I didn't have one. I'm stuck in
What
it
is the
right now.
difference between a fast flat frame and?
Oh no, not a. I wanted to show it fast.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. My bad.
Got it.
Okay, I'm gonna just I'm gonna do a fast stacking here with 5 photos.
Okay.
So I can get the master flat.
I see.
I am not doing it with PixInsight because I haven't. Well, yeah, I could have done it with the image integration. My bad. But yeah, I wanted to show it because from the flat frame, you can gather some information which is maybe counterintuitive. There's a way looking at the flat frame, which is a very specific case, but you can tell if your equipment is aligned. Like maybe your camera is like a very small amount of degrees non-aligned with the telescope, and that will show in the flat frame. You will see that the vignette is has like an offset to a side, which is really interesting. It's a really specific problem and a non-common problem, but if you ever find that, you will know what that means, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm opening the master flat now. Where is it? Okay, I'm gonna do it here really fast. Image integration. Where is it? Here. Wait, can I hide this? I can hide. Oh, never mind. So pixel rejection, nothing. Okay. Average, no normalization, don't care.
This is the flats that I took a few minutes ago.
Yes, this is the newest class. Doing the magic. Okay, here. This is what I wanted you to see. As you can see here, it's very prominent, the vignette in the corners. And there are some dust speckles in the sensor. I don't know if you can see them, but up here, there's a darker sector. Yeah, with the compression, I don't think you will be able to see it, but I can see some big dust obstructions in the sensor up here in the upper right corner. It's very different from the other pixels, but there's a common what?
It's a zoom from the 80s or in.
Oh yeah, it's
it's a cheaper zoom for 35 millimeters analogic cameras using in a and they had the problem of dilating.
Okay, yeah, it's a 100 to 300 millimeters, I think, and it has it's for full frame, but yeah, that was the idea, to see the vignetting.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is what you should use more than biases, instead of the specific banding, which doesn't really show up, because when you're doing noise reduction in the image before stretching, you're kind of already lowering that banding with all the noise reduction. So it's a bit less important, and I will use it as a third option. Like the main preoccupation will be darks and flats.
Yeah.
Then if you have a real strong noise, BS, like a strong result. But yeah, that's it. That's the.
When
I
it comes,
apologize for having terrible eyesight right now, but were the white dots, were those the dust?
No, that
the
was
dust you were talking
just,
about, or were those hot pixels?
They can be, but the thing is, I just did a really fast, and I didn't check the actual good algorithms for flat frames. So
Okay.
that could be just an error in the algorithm and in the stacking.
Okay, thanks.
But
Guys,
you can see them sometimes.
I've got a question for you. When it comes to capturing data as accurately as possible, is there a calculator that will online, or an app that will allow an astrophotographer to get the measurement of a image projection onto a sensor, so we can overshoot the size of the sensor so we don't have the vignetting?
No, I think the vignetting will happen every single time because of the geometrical figures stacking one onto another. But what you said, there's an actual calculator, which is exposure time over ISO, and that gives you a number, and using that number you can kind of guess which golden spot is your camera, like not going higher than 800 ISO or something like that. Like if you're going 5 minutes, ISO 800 is the way to go, or if you're going 15 minutes, don't go over, I don't know, 1200 or 1600.
Well, as far as sensor size versus telescope image circle goes, you can have more vignetting if your sensor is too large for the image circle of your telescope. You'll always have some vignetting, but it can definitely be worse if your sensor is much larger than the image circle.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of a calculator for it, but if you look at the spec on the camera and see what your image diagonal, your sensor diagonal is, and go look at the spec on your telescope to see how big the image circle is, and also don't forget to take into account that reducers and flatteners change the value of that image circle. So if you're, then you can, you just gotta compare those two numbers. So if you have a telescope like a Takahashi that has like a, I don't know, a monstrous image circle, like 86 millimeters or something, and pretty much any sensor will fit on that. But if you have a much smaller and cheaper telescope that has an image circle that's say only 45 millimeters across, you're not going to be able to use that ASI. Well, if you use like the ASI 6200 on there with its like, I don't know how, 60
monster
millimeter
sensor size.
Yeah, you will have more vignetting. So the value for the image circle on the telescope can be a little harder to track down, but a lot of folks on the forums have found these values. That's a good place to look. I'm not aware of a calculator.
Experimentation works too. If you have a couple of different scopes, or if you have a single scope with, a reducer, flatteners, those kinds of things. That's what I've been doing, is just playing around with all of the optical chains I have, and seeing what what I'm catching. And and for a couple of scopes, I see that it's better off that I have a really huge sensor and a smaller frame. It gives me a nice wide angle look at the sky to play with. And so when I crop it out, I get much more of a rectangle than a square. And I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I just replaced the secondary mirror in my Newtonian to give myself a larger lit spot. An option for certain types of scopes as well.
Interesting.
Okay. Guys, that was really interesting. Thank you. we are going to, Molly has a special presentation she wants to give us about the Voyager spacecraft, which is like my most favorite of all spacecraft. Okay, I love the Voyager 1 and 2 missions that are still active, still working, all the way back from the 70s. So, and now in interstellar space. So that makes us a...
And we all fell in love with Persis Kambata.
Yes. So we're going to spend, Jerry Hubble's got the Crab Nebula stacking up. We're going to transition through him and see a couple of minutes of the Crab Nebula through the Mark Slade Remote Observatory. I also want to recognize that we have some people joining us in our after party, which includes Armando Lee from the Philippines. Steve Hauser, where are you from?
Hi, Scott and all. I'm here in the southeast corner of Idaho, Pocatello.
Okay.
I like to call myself the Portneuf Bench Observatory. I'm about right at 5,200 feet.
Great, great. And Gary, Gary Albin, where are you tuning in from?
I'm down here in Kendall, Florida. I'm a member of the Southern Cross Astronomical Society, SCAS.
Great.
So
Wonderful.
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. So Jerry, we're going to transition to you, and let's see what's happening with the Crab Nebula here.
I'm actually not stacking these. I'm just gathering data right now. So these are raw 1 minute. I'm doing 1 minute frames. I typically don't do deep sky stuff. This is just something that's easy to share with everybody and how the Mark Slade Remote Observatory operates. So do you see that now?
Not yet. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's impressive.
So this is a wide field. I mean, this is zoomed in quite a bit. You can see the telescope in the observatory on the right-hand side there in the dome. You can see it looking out the slit. And here's the size of the frame right here.
Mm-hmm. Huge field of view.
Yeah, it's a 1.3 by 0.9 degree field of view, basically. So this is pretty much, this is probably only about 3 to 5 arc minutes across right here. And these are 1 minute frames. And just to talk about the Mark Slade Remote Observatory for a minute, this is our test observatory for Explore Scientific, where we test our equipment and we do upgrades and do I do testing on the mount system. It's a G11 mount with a PMC-8 system on it, and it's also got the telescope drive master on it to control the level of tracking. I don't auto guide this system at all. I find auto guiding tedious and painful, and I don't like it at all. so I just like to be able to turn the telescope drive master on, and it corrects the mount without having no fuss. You know, auto guiding is great as long as you have good skies and you don't have clouds getting in the way of the guide star. You know, or you don't have, or if you're, it's a problem if you're having less expensive mounts that have ticks and burrs and all kinds of little defects on the gear train that cause spikes in your images that you cannot correct with the auto guider system. So that's what turned me on to the telescope drive master 10 years ago. Anyway, these are images. I've got 2 hours of data, a little over 2 hours of data now. And
none of these are stacked. That's an individual.
No, this is just a raw image.
Okay.
It's just a raw image. And you can see it does a good job. I've got the focus pretty tightly tuned. It's the full width at half maximum is around 2.5 pixels, which is a sweet spot for critical sampling. That's one thing you want to focus, and critical sampling is two of the things that beginners kind of miss. They struggle with focusing. They don't understand how good focusing really, I would say it's 50% of a great image is focusing. The other 50% is how good you're tracking or how good you're guiding. So people don't realize that focusing is that important. So that's what, and this system has an autofocus system on it. And this, I'm showing the graph for the last time I ran it. This is a V graph, so it moves the focuser in and out of focus and measures the full width at half maximum, or the half flux diameter of the star image. And then it calculates a position to put the focuser at. That's the sweet spot for the current time. And so that's how that works. So I just wanted to share that.
Oh, it's wonderful. That's
and,
wonderful. Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out for Jerry Hubble too. He is an author. He is actually, I think, the guy that is responsible for the Patrick Moore Practical Astronomy series, and this is one of his books on.
I'm the editor. Yeah, I'm the editor of that series. Springer came to me and asked me. It was really an honor to be asked to do that.
Yeah, that's a big responsibility, big shoes to fill with Patrick Moore, for sure.
Oh yeah.
You know, so that he was the Carl Sagan of Britain. You know, so that's you know, and anyone in the UK knows who Patrick Moore is, for sure, and a lot of us in the United States do too. This is an incredible book for setting up a remote observatory, whether it's in your backyard or halfway around the world. This is something that you need to read. He also does a book on scientific imaging, which gives you a critical thinking path towards constructing any kind of astronomical imaging system. So a couple of books you definitely want to pick up from Jerry. And
Thanks.
Jerry also is with me live weekly on the Open Go-To community program. And if you have a PMC8 system, you definitely want to join up with the Open Go-To community on groups.io. So, and now we'll transition to Molly and talk about my favorite two distant spacecraft.
Hey, glad to be back on here. It's cloudy here tonight, so no live telescope views from me. But if you heard me during the break, I've had 10 clear nights in a row, so I suppose I'm going back to the universe to have some clouds tonight.
Right.
So I don't have slides, excuse me, but there's a story that I came across that I want to tell about the ultimate fate of the Voyager spacecraft, because you know, we know that they're hurtling out into space at high speed, but what's going to happen to them not just 100 years from now, but a billion years from now? Where are they going to end up? So as you know, Voyager 1 and 2 launched in 1977, and they had those golden records on board that contain the sounds of Earth, and also some images inscribed into them as well. And both Voyagers are now beyond the sun's the influence of the sun's stellar wind, so they are considered to be in interstellar space. In a few more years from now, their radioisotope thermoelectric generators, their RTGs, will no longer have enough power for them to continue to communicate with Earth. But they're still going to be hurtling out into space, even though they'll no longer be able to talk to us. At January's annual American Astronomical Society meeting, a PhD student from a university in the Netherlands, the Cape Town Astronomical Institute, his name is Nick Oberg, he presented on some modeling that he did to estimate where the Voyagers might end up in the distant future. And I don't know if he was doing this for his research or if he was just doing this for fun. I think he was doing it for fun. But it's some pretty sophisticated modeling that he did using the latest releases of the Gaia catalog. So using some of this recent data, he simulated the gravitational interactions between the stars and how they'll move around and how they'll interact with the Voyager spacecraft as they travel through interstellar space. So even though Voyager 1 is traveling at 38,000 miles per hour and Voyager 2 is traveling at 35,000 miles per hour, it will still take 20,000 years for the two Voyagers to pass out of the Oort cloud, which is the comets and icy chunks that are orbiting the sun out at 100,000 astronomical units. So even though they're out of
Did you say 30,000 years?
20,000 years.
Oh, 20,000.
Only 20,000 years, not 30.
Oh, well,
100,000 years. Because the Oort cloud goes out to 100,000 astronomical units, so the distance between the Earth and the sun. And so they're still, even though they're considered to be in interstellar space, they're still within the gravitational interaction of the sun. So it won't be for another 20,000 years before they start to feel the gravitational interaction of other stars in our neighborhood.
Wow.
It will take another 10,000 years after that before they fly anywhere near another star. And they'll be coasting by a red dwarf called Ross 248, which is at the current day is 10.3 light years away. But it's actually more accurate to say that Ross 248 will coast by the Voyagers, because that star is actually traveling faster with respect to Earth than the Voyagers are.
Oh.
It's traveling at 181,000 miles per hour.
Oh my goodness.
So
Yeah.
by far eclipsing the actual speeds of the Voyagers. So it's almost like the Voyagers are still in space and the star's going to whiz by them.
Yeah.
Now, if we look further into the future, 500 million years from now, both the solar system and the Voyagers will have completed an orbit of the Milky Way galaxy. This span of time is equivalent to the time span that it took the supercontinent of Pangaea to form and then to break apart as the Earth was tectonically shifting and stuff like that, to put that time scale into perspective. So they're still orbiting that. Even they're not going to be there. They have enough escape velocity to escape the sun's gravitational pull completely, but they're still going to be in orbit in the Milky Way as kind of their own objects. Now, in their oscillations up and down through the galactic disk, along with our solar system and a lot of other things, they'll encounter a lot of dust particles at high speed, a few miles per second of high speed, which will slowly chip away at the spacecraft. However, those golden records were designed to last 1 billion years or more, and we knew about that dust that's out there. So the records are made of copper inside of an aluminum casing inside of a layer of gold. And
Wow.
they put the engraved side of the record toward the spacecraft so that they would be protected from all of those high-speed dust particles. So it's expected that an alien civilization that might encounter one of these in the extremely long odds that happens will be able to still read those records some billions of years from now. Now, after about 5 billion years, the modeling starts to get tricky because the Milky Way and the Andromeda galaxies are going to begin their collision at about that time. And it's really hard to model that because there's so many different variables, and the trajectories of the stars and the gravitational interactions are going to be all over the place. So it's hard to predict, but looking at things statistically, the collision has a 1 in 5 chance of actually ejecting the Voyagers from the Milky Way galaxy.
Wow.
So they could go out into intergalactic space depending on how the gravitational dynamics pan out in the collision between the two galaxies. So at the end of the day, the likelihood of each of the two Voyagers passing within 150 astronomical units, which is 3 times the Sun-Pluto distance, within the next 5 billion years is actually very likely that they'll coast by some other star. But we have no idea which star that will be because of all the craziness that's going to happen with the collision. And that star may not even be born yet. Could pass by a star. Stellar lifetimes last from hundreds of millions of years for the really hot, giant blue stars, and for billions of years, tens of billions of years even, for the little red dwarfs. So it may pass by a star that exists now, or they may pass by, and they're going in 2 different directions. So they won't be passing by the same star, but the star that they do pass by may not even be born yet. We may not even be aware of its existence. And depending on how lucky the Voyager spacecraft are with the dust and whether or not at some point in time they really get completely shredded just by thousands of tiny cuts, they may actually last trillions of years, gliding out into the darkness after stellar formation has ended, and the only light sources left in the universe are a dwindling number of white dwarfs and neutron stars. And still floating out there in the blackness may be the two messengers from Earth, Voyager 1 and 2, gliding out there, out into space.
So cool. I love this. I really love this. Thank you, Molly. That's great.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's great. Okay. All right. So we have let's bring some of our after party guests, one of our after party guests, and then we'll switch over to Cesar over in Buenos Aires. Gary or Steve, do you have anything that you would like to share with the audience?
Well, thanks, Scott. Hello from Idaho again. Actually, all I have to share is a tale of woe. I've had almost 35 days with nothing but clouds. No clear skies at all. And for the few hours where the clouds did break, the wind was blowing 35 miles an hour. And then and then last weekend got a big snowstorm. Put about 3 feet of snow in my backyard, and on my observing platform, what used to be a dog kennel that I generously call my observatory.
That's awesome. I love it.
And tonight it's beautifully clear. I stepped out with the binoculars, had a look at Mars and the Pleiades, and loved it. But there's still 3 feet of snow on my observing platform, and hope not to make anybody sick, but see, I was ready to go.
You are ready to go. Look at that.
Yeah, everything ready to take outside, and I just couldn't get the snow cleared today. It's just it's a pleasure to be part of this group and see what other folks are doing. And it was great hearing what Molly had to say. That was just, in the first place, I'm really glad that that my fears and Carl Sagan's fears and Gene Roddenberry's fears, and we're all pretty safe from that Voyager issue. And I know they're going to be lonely, but that's probably a good thing.
They're give directions on how to get to Earth.
That's how you get there. Good. It's only going to take us 1 billion years to get there, but we'll get there. That's
of course. Right. Now, that is to add, though, that the star map that's on there was for this time period. If it's caught 1 billion years from now, those stars are going to be in different places.
Oh, it's a big trick.
The aliens, with their advanced technology, could backtrack the positions of the stars and still potentially find us. So.
Molly, the same thing happened to me one time when I was in Bangkok. Okay, so I have some directions. Just kidding.
But just a pleasure, and since I retired 32 days ago, this is my social life. Thank you all very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much, man. Thank you. How about you, Gary?
Well, I'm just enjoying the information. It's great information. Augustin, he gave some really, really good information that I definitely can use. Molly, very interesting, very, very interesting stuff. I'm looking forward to hear what Cesar has to offer, but Scott, I would like to know if you know of a reducer that works with the Comet Hunter, which you see right above my head.
I do not. You would have to probably try something on it. I have not, it's the reducers that we build are for our APOs. Okay. And I have not, to be very honest with you, I've not tried in combination with the Comet Hunter. The Comet Hunter is already kind of a faster scope. It's an f/4.8 f ratio. I mean, not super fast, not what I would call a rich field telescope, but close, close. But do you have a large sensor, small sensor?
It's actually a smaller sensor. It's a 183 color. So it's a smaller, 15 mil?
Okay. You might be able to get away with just a a standard reducer, maybe for Schmidt-Cassegrain, for example. They have f6.3 focal reducers. They made 3.3 focal reducers. That's kind of the direction I would go with it, and see what you can come up with. I'd be really interested to know your results.
Okay. Well, thank you.
I would add that not far off the side of the 183 sensor, my first cam is probably where you're going to start running into dark spots. Because I do live imaging, I replace my secondary mirror because I don't want to have to correct for things on the fly, but I'm sure you got a little room for error there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always the option, if you're going to go with a full imaging and not flipping it back and forth between eyepieces and whatnot, to add a larger secondary mirror, and that will give you a little more field of view to use something like a reducer on. I've seen a couple of companies who have done the f2.8 newts, I believe, but they start off as like f4 newts and it's just a reducer on there, but they have some pretty gigantic secondaries.
Astrobeard, is the Comet Hunter capable of changing out the secondary? It's a Maxitov.
I just did it.
Yeah, he just did it.
I just did it like last week.
Yeah, okay. I gave him the name of the optician.
I talked to Terry Ostahowski. He sent me this beautiful box that came with a 2.6-inch quartz mirror. And what is it here? Some 3M VHB.
What kind of telescope is the Comet Hunter?
It's a Maxitov Newtonian.
A Maxitov.
It has a spherical corrector plate on the front, like a Maxitov Cassegrain would. But instead it has a spherical, Newtonian setup after it.
I'd be leery about using a Schmidt-Cassegrain corrector or reducer for it, because those tend to also be field flatteners, which are designed to be used with the plate that's on Schmidt-Cassegrains, the corrector plate, which is probably a different shape than the one that's on the Mac.
That's true, but the primary thing that's going on is it's got a spherical primary and a spherical secondary. So it's the closest thing. We're not working with a hyperbolic system or a parabolic system. It's a sphere. So that would be maybe the closest thing, because there was never made a reducer for that particular telescope. So I would probably use a reducer that was made for a spherical system.
If you can borrow one from somebody to test out.
Oh, of course, right.
Then I would love to hear the result of that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well,
so if there's somebody listening out there that would loan him a Schmidt-Cassegrain reducer.
I have one. I might get to that at some point.
All right, that would be very cool. That would be very cool.
Well, thank you guys, and I really appreciate the content here.
Thanks, Gary. Thank you very much. Okay, and then the other person that's on our after party is Armando Lee from the Philippines. How you doing, Armando?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing fine. If you notice, it's morning. It's almost noon right now here. We're +8 from GMT. So it's really the other side of the world right now.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to share the local scene here. We just finished the National Astronomy Week celebration. Yeah, we do that every year. It's a presidential decree. And several societies here has come up with different activities promoting astronomy. And I was involved in one of the government agency, the PAGASA, Philippine Astrophysical Geographic Geoastronomical Authority, where I was one of the judges in the astrophotography competition.
Oh, wow. Excellent.
The lockdown is really, has really taken a lot from our crusade here doing sidewalk astronomy. And good thing that we already have some formal astronomy courses set up. So we have classes ongoing, but it's online. And I'm also involved in that. I'm a professorial lecturer in one of the universities here, teaching observation astronomy 1 and 2 for the graduate school. Yeah, my setup right now is really hanging. I was supposed to set up my C11 with my Atlas mount last year, but a volcano erupted
Oh,
so yeah, the Taal volcano. I don't know if you heard about it. So early last year, we had a volcanic eruption a month before the pandemic lockdown. So
And I thought I had
yeah,
problems.
a lot
I'm
of
sorry.
happening here.
Never mind.
insult to injury. Jeez.
So what I'm doing now is just cleaning my optics. You know, I have the C11 in my telescope room. I'm just about to set it up again, but I need to clean the mirror. You know, the corrector plate. I also have an 8-inch Newtonian waiting to be cleaned and mounted. Before this meeting, I was setting up my Atlas mount here in the terrace. I want to show you maybe. Let me give you.
Yeah, let's see what you do.
Yeah. So if you can see here, it's a blue sky right now, almost noon, and some of my equipment here waiting in my terrace. You know,
that's nice. That's nice.
yeah, and you can see here. I don't know if you can see the.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful out there.
Yeah, this is the. I just have it covered up. This is the Atlas Mount right in the terrace, and you can see the sky here. Very nice blue sky. It's not been like this all the time. Recently, as I was telling you, we had the rainy season, and we're just getting out from it. But it's cool right now in the evening and hot in the morning and noontime. And the sky is getting clear lately, so it's it's a silver lining, and not letting the pandemic ruin my my plan. It was just the volcanic eruption last year that really put me on hold because of the ashfall, the acidic ashfall from the nearby volcano.
Wow.
But yeah, so I think that's
really
about.
Yeah, I mean, was it covering? Like I've seen ash falls from other, nearby volcanic eruptions, and it's horrible, what happens. But how severe was it where you live?
Where I'm just leaving some 17 kilometers away from the lake where the volcano is located. So we had a quarter of an inch thick of ashfall then last second week of January. Then we have to wait for the dust to settle before we clean it, and that was dry season here in the Philippines. So, all the dust blowing with the wind. So I cannot really set up my equipment, or, how it is with the silica dust from the volcano.
Sure.
So I have to wait for several months to, wait for the dust to be cleaned and all the dust in the air settled. But then the pandemic lockdown came. So there's a lot going in. And as the pandemic lockdown was established here, then comes the rainy season. We don't have the 4 season here. So we only have the wet and the dry season.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so, it's really late. But, as you mentioned earlier, it's not late to start or restart with astronomy. But, yeah, we're doing everything online right now. And the problem is the university cannot open the observatory. So
yeah,
of the 16-inch and the 14-inch there that we cannot use because we cannot, do face-to-face instruction with the students. And I cannot even go in there and, clean or align or do astronomical adjustment with the telescope. So I think that's about it, Scott. And I'm
okay. Well, you have a lot of obstacles there. I know that there are times where astronomy also is something of imagining through scientific understanding our universe, much like the talk that Molly just gave, about Voyager. We can only imagine what it's like, but as she's talking, I'm seeing these spacecraft hurtling out into space and stuff flying by, like a freight train past the spacecraft. So I think that it's great. For Amanda, I'm really glad you joined us on our program. I've seen you, in chat on a lot of our other programs, and I hope that you join us with Global Star Party at any time. So, and that goes for all of you that have join for the after party. So thank you very much.
Thanks for inviting me too.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So we got more to go here. Let's go to Cesar. Cesar, you are. What time is it there now in Argentina?
Yeah, it's 12.
It's midnight.
54. Yes, 12:54. We are three hours ahead Central Time.
Yes.
And mostly cloudy, but I was lucky to take the pictures earlier and have pictures that Agustin is stacking and processing now only with the camera, and we are trying to see how good is we can get a Orion Nebula from the city with only a camera and an equatorial, small equatorial mount. You know that sadly this week, something that I can tell you to the group, that you know that normally the club, astronomy club, where I go mostly of the time is Bella Vista del Cosmos, is the the club where I go, where we are working and I'm helping and working with this group about to recover and restoring the astronomical observatory history, solar observatory. And unfortunately, with the sadness, absolutely, yesterday we lost a member that passed away by COVID. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Horrible, yes. Gustavo Rodriguez, rest in peace, was a very, very sad news because he was fighting 10 days and really was really sad.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that it's a sad news in a third party, but you know that.
No, it's
Today, yes,
it's the reality
yesterday,
of our times.
Member, yes, it's so when normally we don't can accept that the how the COVID, this type of virus, the pandemic is when shot so near or not so near to the people is that very sad about in the group about this very sad news.
Sure.
And yes, thank you. And well, but we will continuing with the club because this he was really energetic guy to especially to restore and make all things about the the improvements and restoring the observatory is a real a real phase of the news today. Well, it's something that sorry that is sometimes I know that is well, it's something that when you know guys that really enjoy the stars, and maybe he can choose between go to his home or come with us to the star parties. Really he tell us no, I need to go to the eclipse or I need to go to the star party. Impossible to stop. And this energy is that we take more enthusiasm for recover as soon as possible the wall observatory, because people like Gustavo Rodriguez, I think that is they teach us about the energy to put in the projects, in the love that he put in astronomy, because he was a really amateur astronomy for many years. He was returning to the activity in the last 2 years. You know, with the new equipments and all that done, that have the sense of when you was amateur astronomer in the 80s, and when you return to the activity that you love. He in the last years he enjoy a lot the activity with the club members and in these activities that I showed you a few weeks ago. Yeah, it's the life. It's
Yes,
you know.
that's
Yeah,
right. That's right.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. So
Yeah.
you know, I want to say, Caesar, is also an honor to have your son join us. It's nice to see a father-son team on the Global Star
Yes.
Party, you know, so it's inspiring to see how knowledgeable he is. You know, that must have happened over many years of you and taking him to star parties and introducing him to the community, and
Yeah.
that it doesn't always happen. It doesn't always happen. You take your kids, you show your kids those stars as an amateur astronomer, and they're just like, God, Dad, that's great, you know, but they're not into it, you know. So, but obviously,
yeah.
Austin, you know, or Augustine is
And have enthusiasm
very,
to teach to the people or explain, and this is very good, really. It's something that I never told him about how to, you know, it, only he went to our star parties because with the family, you know, and he's starting to try with the telescopes. I remember that he's starting to use at his 11 years old, 11
yes.
years old, I go to telescope perfectly and I say, come on, you never watch you never read the manual. No,
You never read the manual.
no, you know, yeah.
Right.
Yes,
All right. So you must
it's a
have it in his
connection, and
DNA.
it's nice that we can receive the helping of young people with technology, because we our generation receive all we try, like computer telescope changing a lot in 30 years, and people like you and me, and well, you are a legend about the technology in telescope in the uh, you especially. No, you are talking to you. No, but really, really, in your history in telescope, and you really think that that we experiment the completely different things in amateur astronomy equipment in
Yes.
only 30 years, like never in the history of maybe 200 years.
Right.
Only 3 years, only 30 years ago, the same telescope was the same 1 century ago, because you had a telescope only with two, maybe motor in ascension, but no more like this than this, and you had a telescope with no more technology than 1 century ago. Today,
That's pretty
it's
much true.
impossible. Yes, when I listen to the people talking about PhD or the program for guiding, or oh, I can't believe my graphics are very bad, and I say, come on, enjoy the astronomy.
Right.
Well,
Yes,
just like that.
don't see the graphic of your PhD. You see the sky, or enjoy something. Come on, and really thinking about maybe, well, with this news yesterday and today, I thought a lot in the things that we need to enjoy more. But for today, that these are tools that are really really very enjoyable, and when the people that understand more than our generation, and they can help us, is amazing. I'm proud from for Agustin. It's real, yeah.
Yes, yeah, it is amazing. You know
Thank you.
the you know what we are enjoying now in technology, and you know, one of the things I really enjoy a lot is working with our product development team. Uh, you know, it's I pinch myself sometimes thinking that, gosh, you know, I'm so lucky to work every day in something like this. You know, this is just,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just an amateur astronomer, and I just love the community, and the, you know, the people who, you know, the personal discoveries of things you can have. Although, you know, maybe they've been observed a zillion times before. When you first see them yourself, that's a discovery, and there's that rush, there's that feeling, you know, and
Absolutely.
and I have confirmed, you know, that kind of feeling with you know, discoverers like David Levy and Carolyn Shoemaker and Gene Mueller, and you know, on and on, the other amateur astronomers who have just seen things for the very
Today,
first time
what?
ever, you know, and they say
Yes.
that feeling's the
Today.
same. It's the same
Yes.
feeling, you know. So
Absolutely.
Well, and if you do it enough, you get it twice because you forget what you saw 20 years
Sure.
ago.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
let me say something about today. We
Yes.
see David Levy in action in a telescope in a place. It's like to see to Jacques Cousteau again going to the deep, because it's an opportunity. In the last time we watched to David Levy in their office, no, in the
Yeah.
in the library, or you know. But today, for me, was very wow. It's David Levy with a telescope in the field.
Yes, that's right. Under
Yes,
dark skies. Yeah. Or
I
clear skies.
really enjoy this because it's was historic. It's like, come on, it's David Levy. I don't know if you feel the same, but I feel like he looks younger with more
Yes,
energy.
that's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
These that kind of experience. So you can see it on his face. You can see it in his energy as he's out there under the skies. All of us that are amateur astronomers get that energy, you know, and that is something. It's good for us, you know. You know, there are. It's similar. It's actually, I think it's somewhat more stronger than the energy that someone gets from just hanging out in nature, you know, out in the woods, for example, you know, out in the trees, or camping or something. And the reason why I think that is that as a young man and as a boy, I spent a lot of time camping. You get that feeling of flow from being out in nature, but it takes a few days. You know, it takes like 2 or 3 days. In astronomy, you can spend one night underneath the Milky Way under an amazing sky and get that in minutes. Okay, it happens very quickly, and this is good for you because it lowers your blood pressure. It gives you it lifts your mood. There's lots of things that are happening. You know, very similar things that have been studied by scientists of people hanging out in nature for, you know, going on nature walks and these kinds of things. But it happens in astronomy very, very quickly. And so it's good for you to do. It's good for your health. You know, it's good for your mind.
Yeah.
It helps you put things into perspective. You know, a lot of times especially in our world today, there's so many things we instantaneously hear of bad news. We hear all kinds of things instantaneously, and to slow down and to contemplate the universe is very, very good. Very good. So
I agree with you. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Well, gentlemen, we are we are towards the end, I think. Does anyone have any, Richard, do you have an image or two you'd like to share?
I do.
Well, let's see it.
The moon's starting to come up and mess up
Oh,
my
wow.
gradient.
Rosette.
Oh.
Nice.
Here we got the rosette. It's looking a little green.
Nice.
We'll pixel peep it a little bit here.
All right.
Stars
So
aren't
you and
perfectly
I talked
round,
about
they're
this a
tight.
little bit before, Richard. I was asking you if you felt that your skills as an astrophotographer got better because you were presenting on a live program, and you said yes. Why do you think that you I guess anyone that might have to stand in front of people to show their stuff will really press hard, to do the best they can.
I would say definitely repetition. I mean,
yeah,
just having to set up and honestly having to do it on the clock too. Because I usually get set up in an hour. And
yeah,
sometimes less than that. Like I said, tonight even had to collimate the scope after secondary swap and some stuff like that.
Yeah.
I put it on the laser before, but after I do that, I always go to the just collimating. I used Sirius tonight. I would say, yeah, it's definitely made me a better astrophotographer, just having to do it more often. And also because I have the setup to do it here, I've been getting a lot better here, where I kind of used to set up more different places, but again, more gear to set up in a different place means less time actually getting kind of the photons that you're looking for.
That's right.
Ideally, it'd be nice to just open a roof and, start going, and hopefully it won't be too awful long, next year that we'll be doing something like that.
Yeah, you'll be doing that. That's right.
Really looking forward to it. I do have one other thing. Speaking of the moon, this is from last week. We shot Markarian's chain. Is that showing up?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Let's see. We'll even put it full screen for the moment anyway. It looks better like that. But you can see this part here where you got that haze, and that was the full moon from last week, and we're not too far away from it now. But we're going to be revisiting this one. And I just wanted to show, this was the maximum amount I was able to stretch the image without bringing just
but look at all those galaxies. Wow.
The whole background, into bright haze. But when we revisit this one, we're going to see more galaxies and a whole lot more detail in a lot of them, because we're going to be doing some new moon work on this particular target.
When I look at the faint galaxies, they look like, they're not stars, they're little smudges, and those are galaxies. And there's just tons of them as you look deeper and deeper into the shot. It's cool.
I like this one. This one's one of my favorite. But
that kind of edge on
here, little splotch here, a little splotch there. They are everywhere in that picture. Here.
Everywhere.
So, one of my favorite targets, Markarian's chain, and now that I have the APS sensor on the Comet Hunter, I can actually get it in with my 6-inch scope, because last year I was playing with it with the 183 and the 80, and just wanted that little bit more, and I'm pretty sure I got it. So anyway, I'm going to stop sharing and back to the show once again.
Oh, it's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, gentlemen, is there anything else that you'd like to add, share? Any words of wisdom?
I would like to ask something from the group.
Okay.
Has anyone tried using smartphones in imaging deep sky objects?
I know Richard has. I know Richard has done it quite a bit. So,
not
can
quite
you tell
a bit,
something
but
about
that's
it,
how I started.
Richard?
What was the question again?
Yeah, can you tell us something about doing smartphone photography or deep sky objects? What is your experience about it?
Okay. Well, I started with smartphone astrophotography, and it was in dark skies, and that's really going to help because getting any light in between an eyepiece and the smartphone is going to make a big deal. I don't know about all eyepieces, but I know all the Explore Scientific ones that I use have the nice flip up rubber cup to them, which really help out with that. I found focusing to be somewhat of an issue sometimes because it's more like how exactly far do you want the phone from the eyepiece slash how focused do you want the eyepiece, but that's kind of another thing altogether. Take as many pictures as you can with as long of an exposure as your phone will allow. If you have raw capability to get raw data off your phone, you definitely want to use that. If you have 12 cameras on the back of your phone, make sure you use the right one. The XYZ mount is pretty good for adjusting, and it will hold some of the larger eyepieces. I've never tried it on this guy yet, but we'll try that sometime soon. I don't know if it can quite grab a hold of that job, but yeah, it's I mean, you can definitely get a whole lot. I'm not going to try and dig it out right now, but the brighter targets, I got a really impressive picture of the Ring Nebula through a phone. And I will say, I use a note phone. I've had a note phone for a long time, but the little pen that comes out of it has a button on it, and you can use it to take the shutter to take the picture.
Oh, that's cool.
So you don't have to sit there and touch the screen and hope everything stays still and stuff like that. Dusty Haskins recommended you can also do it by voice, I believe. I don't know how to do that, but you know, if you can tell the camera take a picture, that's better than touching it while you're trying to keep everything perfectly still. I don't know of any cameras that do, you know, long exposures for a cell phone. So that's the only thing. I mean, I think mine goes to like 10 seconds. I've heard of people getting extra camera programs that stack and stuff like that. But I mean, if it's not taking a longer exposure in the first place, I'd rather stack it myself. And I'm definitely planning on revisiting it. I'm hopefully also planning on revisiting some DSLR stuff in the next couple of weeks because there's a DSLR contest for Explore Scientific
that's true. That's
going
true. So
on.
if you go on the Explore Alliance,
and I heard there might be a smartphone
it
category in the next one. So I am kind of getting warmed up and getting ready to, you know, try and do a little bit of that, and maybe we'll film the outing a little bit too, because I won't do that here. I'll do that someplace out in dark skies, because I won't be guiding or, you know, anything like that while I'm doing 10-second exposures. You know, we'll just let the mount do it. If some of them are bad, we'll throw them out.
Yeah, I will show you an image of M82 done by Michael Wiesner. This is with an iPhone 11. Let me bring that up, and this will give you an idea. Now, this is an unstacked image. He did stacking as well, but this will give you, and this was from last week, or maybe even this week. So you can see definitely the structure in the galaxy.
Nice.
Pretty nice round stars. This is probably shot through his Meade Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope with a 15 millimeter eyepiece. I think the magnification was like 150 power, something like that. And he is using a program, I think it's called Nightcap, which is available. And so pretty impressive, really, for smartphone astrophotography.
That is really neat. Richard, just to let you know, the new Note 20 offers a 30-second shutter time.
Mm-hmm.
So
cool.
You know,
I really do like my headphone jack, and it still works, so I'm going to keep it for now. But
yeah.
I am going to show one thing here. I showed this, I believe, last week, but it just that's a quick one shot of the Ring Nebula with a smartphone.
Pretty amazing. It looks like you can
smartphone.
see the central star a little bit there.
Smartphone. I mean,
yeah.
So if you want to know, if you have, that means that almost everybody in the world has a has a astro camera. So
I feel less
you just
special
need
all
the
the
accessory
time.
telescope to attach it to, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know a
Jeez,
guy
you know,
that they broke and removed the lens of the cell phone, smartphone, to use because the phone was unusable to talk, you know. When he bought a new cell phone, the old one removed the lenses and used in the primary focus the sensor.
Oh wow!
Yes, I need to invite this guy he's from Argentina.
Yeah, invite him.
Actually,
Let's see his
Valiere.
images. Okay.
He made incredible pictures with their Xiaomi, or I don't remember, Chinese side phones, or but incredible pictures.
With a Huawei,
I only
a P10, I
use
think.
for tabular class.
Yeah, I would like to ask.
Huawei, no?
Yeah, a Huawei P10.
Oh, Huawei.
Yeah. But
And
actually,
he only uses
also,
like 8 seconds of exposure, but it's really useful.
The techniques you described earlier, Augustine, can it be applied in smartphone images?
Yeah, that was what I wanted to say when Scott showed the photo, that you can see a clear vignetting.
That's
because
true.
the galaxy, you could see the galaxy, but like a circular glow. That means that the guy who throw that image into the processing program stretch the values to make the galaxy pop, but he overdone it, and that's where you can see that circular glow. If he did a flat frame for that, you just grab the cell phone, put a white paper or something that covers the sensor, try to do some white photo with that can show you the vignette, and it's literally just like a normal calibration frame. The only thing is that you're using a different camera in this case, but the same logic applies to everything. You can try it. One might think, oh, but it's a cell phone, you can't do calibration frames, but you actually can. You just have to think of a way to make it work, right?
Well, you don't need so much white t-shirt to go over the smartphone, so
Yeah, right. Yeah, just like a tiny 1x1. Yeah.
Augustine, but how about the image format? Usually the smartphone has a JPEG, right?
Yeah, there are some amazingly, there are some, by Gary, there are some smartphones that let you shoot RAW amazingly, which is really rare.
Oh, is it? There is?
Let me check, because my phone does. It's
I didn't
a
know that.
Samsung Note 5.
Oh, Note 5. I thought it's
which is a kind of old
JPEG
phone.
if you use a smartphone.
Yeah, let me check, because I have the option to shoot RAW here. Yeah, save as RAW file. No, it will be impossible. But yeah, there's the option.
Yes, many cell phones have the save like raw file, CR2 or another.
Yeah.
Option.
I mean, obviously the pixel count is kind of low. Even if it says 22 megapixels, it's not a real 22 megapixels, because of the size of the sensor and how light comes into a small area.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really 22 megapixels or whatever number the cell phone brings in. But yeah, it's still very doable, like very doable. This guy that my dad just talked about, he literally puts the cell phone into the ocular or like in some way, and he does processing as it was a normal DSLR or CCD. It's like the only thing that changes is the quality, like the dynamic range and the color, the contrast. That's the only important difference.
I noticed some of the smartphones have different night mode settings, you know,
Yeah.
and that's where the major differences are between cell phones.
Yeah,
that's very cool. My phone's got the raw setting. I never even noticed that. Thank you. I'm
that's
gonna
very
try
good.
that.
Yeah, there you have the raw plus JPEG. Right. Yeah. So that's the thing. You can really just use whatever thing that takes photos. The main thing that gives you the ability to do astrophotography is the ability to control exposure time, and that is called manual mode. If you have an option to control exposure time, that's it. You're already gold, because you can just choose whatever you want to use. Like you need 8, you need 10. Okay, maybe there are some phones that are limited to 10 seconds or 8 seconds, which is the most common. But maybe in the United States, which technology and prices are more accessible because it's the main, you have them all made there, you can just buy a very good phone, like a higher tier phone, and it will surely have that setting, and it will probably have, as Armando said, a 30-second option. No, as Gary said. So yeah, 20 seconds is already like more than enough for some photos, for some bright objects like the main nebula and the main moon, for example. You don't need
Some
more
phones,
than 30.
Yeah. Some phones doesn't have the manual mode, but they do have the night mode. And I think to take photos of the bright deep space objects.
Yeah. The thing is, maybe the night mode kind of brings the ISO way too higher, and it also does like an artificial lightness increase, which I don't know if that's.
Are they just like boosting all the pixels a little bit?
Yeah.
I've been playing with that night mode, and I think it's kind of more like the HDR mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like taking 3 or 4 exposures and combining them.
Yeah, HDR is
like
also a very
some
useful.
Images as well, automatically stacking the images.
Yeah. I mean, here, like the best option is to have either very controllable exposure time or the RAW plus JPEG file extension, because there you can just do the light imaging and then do the calibration frames, and then just throw it all into the program and try to get the best out of it. As
kind of makes me feel
Astrobeer
silly
says.
for spending $1,500 on a CCD large format sensor camera.
Yeah, I mean,
But
if
it's
your cell phone is $1,100,
yeah, right.
Yeah,
They cost that.
just go directly and buy a ZWO, an AC 1600 or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
with a filter wheel.
I don't want to advertise, but yeah, it costs me some money.
but that's useful for people that have. Oh yeah, I have a phone, like an iPhone 11 or 12, which is really common these days. And if you, I can't get into astrophotography because I don't have a telescope. Well, that's where you're wrong, because we amateurs and people that really like this hobby, we know this kind of stuff, and we can tell these guys, no, you can actually take these photos, put this mode in, and yeah, from there it's a really steep learning curve. I'm gonna admit that it's very hard to learn, but it's not impossible. I mean, you just need to have the will.
Well, there's also mentors out there. Know, Augustine, you might be doing this. I think you are doing this yourself with people showing them each step of the way. You know, Molly Wakeling does this. Gary Palmer does this. A lot of astrophotographers who have accomplished some expertise and experience, feel the need to help others learn this process, because once you've kind of mastered some of it, then you can kind of take off, and do some pretty mind-blowing images.
I mean,
well, it's like our own little private master classes.
Yeah, really.
That's
I
right.
tend to oversimplify things, which, I mean, it can be bad and good, but in this case, when I'm teaching these clients or people that just I'm doing the teacher role, when I oversimplify, it really helps for that person that doesn't really want to learn, how does the sensor work, how does the voltage distribute over the pixels, and what is this algorithm for stacking, what is this? No, they don't care about that. They just want to take the photo with of that object that brights in the sky and had a really nice looking, colorful whatever.
Yeah.
So it's good to simplify and don't care about like the details. Like, for example, what Armando asked, there's an option with the phone. You just click to take the photo, and that's it. Just like put a number into it, put 10 seconds, and it's trial and error. Just try to take a photo. You don't need to learn before the action.
As they accomplish something, they get to a certain level.
Yeah.
Then they will learn. They will learn.
Exactly. Yeah.
Take those next steps, but it's very easy, for someone. Augustine, you're doing a very good job as an educator, because once you know a lot, it would be very, very easy to overwhelm your student. And just leave them in a state of like, wow, I cannot understand this.
Exactly.
Sorry, that was too much information for me.
I always try to explain.
Let me go back
everything
to my comfort zone, So
I always try to explain everything if I was explaining it to a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Like there's no need to like tell everything the way it actually is. I mean, there's both ways exist. There's people that wants to know everything and then take the step. But from my experience, I had only like one or two people that were like that, and I really enjoyed it because I could like just throw all my knowledge into them. But there's the other people that's like, I don't really care about all that. Just tell me how to do it. And
how to make an awesome image.
I mean, besides there's also like a barrier people don't want to break. Like they fear this barrier that they are gonna like get something wrong or they are gonna break something. It's like, but don't really worry about it. Just trust me that I'm doing this and you guys are doing this for like years, and this can happen, this other thing can happen. You just go with it, touch all the knobs of your equatorial mount, try to see what happens, try to click every single button of the controller and see what happens. If it doesn't work, just turn it off, reset to home position and try again. That's it.
Right.
Wow, this is our history. Agustin, do you have the picture of Orion?
No, it's still getting stuck, sadly.
No. Next week.
Next week,
that's right.
Yeah, there were too many light images.
Cesar and Augustine, we will have a global star party on Friday that starts earlier. Okay, so it started about 4:00 Central. This would be with Gary Palmer. So your logins and everything, and that's true for all of you here, your logins and stuff will still be good if you want to join us on the Friday event.
Thank you.
This Friday. So
same ID and passcode.
Yep, same bat channel, same. Yes.
Okay.
Same thing.
Okay, but different time, right? You said it's earlier.
Yeah, it will start about 3 hours earlier.
Wow, that will be early morning here.
That's very early morning. That's right. That's
My
right.
star party is meter with pizza. I don't know.
Yeah. And Armando, if you want to maybe co-host you know, a global star party starting from the Philippines, we've got Christopher Go, we've got you, we've got, there's others, and we haven't done one for a little while, so it'd be nice. It'd be nice to have one. So
Yeah, sure.
yeah,
I know those guys. I'm friends with them.
Yeah, just touch base with them. And Christopher, he knows the score as far as the schedule and everything. So, but it's pretty, you've seen how we run the program. So it's pretty straightforward, very simple.
Yeah.
But I'd be happy to host that. Tomorrow we will have Damian Peach, who is a world-renowned planetary photographer. He's going to be on in the afternoon at 3 p.m. Central.
Talk about a master class.
Yeah. He was he was on last Wednesday. We had an internet interruption on his side, unfortunately. And so I said, we'll come back and we'll do it again for another afternoon with you. And so that'll be great. And
cool. I was trying to watch that and he dropped off and I went back to work.
Yeah. Right. I was, as he was getting into it, I was like, no.
See, it ruined my whole day.
Yeah. But he was showing some beautiful images of Jupiter and storm systems, and
I do that
stuff. Amazing.
I do that Patreon thing with him, so I get all of his. I talk about a fire hose of data, man.
Yeah. He says he's got like maybe a year of data to work through right now. So. But so it'll be good to watch him tomorrow. We have more coming up. There is live events with the Astronomical League. They've got a calendar. So if you go to explorescientific.com/live, you'll see our calendar there. And lots of things are coming up, including the Northeast Astronomy Forum, which will be broadcast live. There's a possibility of some talk about having some parts of the Texas Star Party broadcast live. So that would be nice. I think that's actually going to be a real in-person event as well. So they were taking, the Texas Star Party down by Fort Davis, Texas, West Texas, where the McDonald Observatory is. So there's a ranch out there called Prude Ranch where they have the Texas Star Party. So,
the governor dropped their mask mandate there today. So, so it looks like that could happen.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So, so, I think that they're set to, be more than, socially distanced out there. There's a ton of property out on that big ranch. And so, if you're waving 100 yards away or something like that to your friend with your red flashlight, I think that's okay. I really appreciate you guys being on tonight. It's an honor, and you're all welcome to come back. And if you want to be regulars on the program, you have presentations you want to give, you're sharing live images, anything like that, let me know and I'll have you on the regular mailing list for the Global Star Party. Up until then, it's just as easy to join as in the after party. So thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you too, Scott.
And good night to the audience.
Good night.
Thanks, guys, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Steve, Augustine, Cesar, and Richard. Bye-bye.
This is a great talk, and thanks, Keith's team.
Thanks. Take care.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.